It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Florence Ion is here. Jason Heiner, Larry Magid. They were all of them at CES, and boy, they're exhausted. But I dragged them in here so we can cover all the most interesting things, the trends. We'll talk about everything from Hyperloop to roll-up TV screens. Twit is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 649, recorded Sunday, January 14th, 2018. Aging in Place. This Week in Tech is brought to you by the Ring Video Doorbell. Stop crime before it happens and help make your neighborhood safer with Ring. Go to ring.com/twit and get up to $150 off a Ring of Security kit. And by FreshBooks, the easy-to-use cloud accounting software for small business owners. Make 2018 your most productive year yet. Try it free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/twit. And by Bombfell. Bombfell is an online personal styling service for men that helps find the right clothes for you. Get $25 off your first purchase at bombfell.com/twit. And by Texture. Access the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere using your smartphone or tablet. Try it free for 14 days at texture.com/twit. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news with some of the best tech journalists in the business. Always look forward to this because I don't know what to think until I get people like Florence Ion from All About Android on the show, Android Central. Where else? You write all over the place.
Android Authority.
Android Authority.
PC
Sorry.
World. I'm all over the internet.
Yep. And most importantly, every Tuesday evening here on All About Android. That's the most important.
Very important.
Also with us from CBS Interactive, two CBS guys joining us today. Jason Heiner, who, well, you see, I fooled you.
There he is.
I fooled you. Larry Magid from CBS News Radio and Jason Heiner from CBS Interactive. He's editor-in-chief at Tech Republic. And I saw you, Jason, leading tours at CES this year.
Yes, I do every year, or I have for a long time.
Who are those people? Who are you taking around?
Do you carry the flag around and have all the people like
He's got
follow behind you?
He's got a little microphone.
Thankfully, I don't. There's somebody to carry the flag,
There is
which
a
is
flag.
nice. It's a CNET flag. So from the CNET stage, we give tours, and it's mostly our partners, right? Marketing partners, and so it's executives, it's tech companies, and ad companies and marketing partners. So most of them.
And competing
they spend
journalists.
Yes.
Rarely, but
I want to
sometimes.
know what is big. What's big, Jason? Tell me so I can write about it.
So I mean, people tag along. There's no doubt that people tag along. But my mic is only for the people on our tour, so that they can hear. Because as you guys know, it's so loud. Yeah. It's so crazy loud. Yeah, it's like a museum tour.
Jim Louderback used to do that for ZD. I remember at Comdex.
Yeah,
I should give tours of CES, but I'll give these are my favorite parts and these are the worst parts of CES.
Well, that's what you do,
Here's
right,
the cheese
Jason?
fries at Nathan's, which is delicious. Here's a room toward the back of the North Hall where I like to take naps where nobody can find me.
Flo's CES. You could do a handoff.
Escape.
Yeah, and now
these are the restaurants you can eat at. I give this one an A. I give this one a C. This is a D every day.
A D. And now, so you were at CES also, Florence, right?
8 days.
Yeah, oh, God.
8 days. I was there.
Oh, my God.
8 days in Vegas is like a year. It's like a dog.
It is.
I cried of happiness when I returned to
literally
little Oakland Airport.
8 days.
Yes.
8 days a week.
Oh.
Well, I helped manage a team this year.
Okay.
I helped manage a team.
So both you and Jason were kind of. How about you, Larry? Did you go to CES?
Oh, yeah, I was there. In fact, I drove there. I drive every year. I drive through the desert in a car with no name. And I love the drive.
It's a beautiful drive.
It's a great drive, and I always have a good time.
Wait,
and I
you
do
drive from
funky
the
things.
Bay Area, though? You don't.
I drive from the Bay Area, and I stopped in Tehachapi on the way back, and there's a wonderful folk music scene in Tehachapi. Who would know? Who would have thought of it, right?
Florence knew.
Roberto Baldwin from Engadget is from Tehachapi. That's his hometown, so that's how I know about
I said
it.
music venues in Tehachapi, and I found this thing called Fiddler's Crossing, and Jim Kreskin, who's really good.
Oh, I love Jim Kreskin.
Yeah, he was performing on Friday night, so I got to hear him. And then it turns out that a woman who was there, his husband, has a microphone collection. Leo, you would have loved this. So I go to this guy's house in Tehachapi Saturday morning, and I look at old microphones going back to like 1905.
It's amazing.
Great collection.
This is why you drive.
Awesome.
That's why I drive. I get it's an adventure. It's worth it.
So the irony,
it's like the slow food version of traveling.
Yeah.
And I drive a Prius. I don't feel guilty. I get 60 miles.
Oh, yeah, you're perfect.
Not as good as Leo's Tesla, but still pretty good.
The irony of all this is we're talking about CES and everything but technology.
Right.
Right? So come on. We got.
Do you want to get into it?
First of all, let's get the 30,000 foot assessment from all three of you.
Sure.
Larry, how many CESs have you been to?
Well, if you count CS and Comdex, it goes back to 81.
81.
So, God knows, 30, 40, 50, I don't know. There's only been 51. Probably about 30.
Wow.
Probably.
CES has been going on since like the 20s.
This is the 50th year, I understand.
The 50th year.
This was the 50th year, from what I understand.
So not the 20s and the 40s. But
right. Not quite, but quite a while.
60s.
And I was a wee boy.
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was older than that.
Well, the casino bosses hadn't built up Vegas yet, so
It was in Chicago.
CES was in Chicago. I remember going to the McCormick
It was
Center
in Boston once too.
It was twice a year in the early days, and it was in the East and the West.
That's why I've gone to so many, because I used to go twice a year some years.
And I do remember going to McCormick Place in Chicago, which has a tin roof in the middle of the hottest summer day in Chicago, which is hotter than any summer day in human history. With all this, and this was the year that CES, for some reason, decided we're going to let regular people in on Saturday.
Oh, no, don't let that. That's not okay.
It was as close to hell on Earth.
You mean Comic-Con? That's what Comic-Con is.
Maybe a little bit like Comic-Con. But it's loud. It's like a super loud con.
And I spend as little time as possible on the floor. I spent almost no time this year on the floor, maybe 2 hours total.
Is that your secret, is to talk to?
Yeah, it is. The secret is to go to these shows, to go to Showstoppers and PepCom. They have these things in the evening.
Okay, I have a thing about, these are the mini shows. There's three. There's CES Experience, which the Consumer Electronics Association puts on. There's PepCom, which Claude Pepper puts on. No, not Claude Pepper.
John Pepper.
Yeah. John Pepper, some guy. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
And then no, because I like Showstoppers, because that's Stephen Leon, who's great.
Yeah.
In contrast to Pepper.
Yeah, and I have a stage at Showstoppers.
Aptly named.
I do a CBS stage.
But I don't. I have all three of them, even though I love Stephen. The problem with those is they're very small. There may be 30 or 40 or 50 booths there.
Oh, no, there's hundreds.
Okay, but they're in a ballroom.
Now.
They're not. Okay, but it's in a ballroom.
You've got a table.
It's a subset.
They
pay 6 to 12 grand for a table.
They pay a lot of money, but more than that for like a bigger booth, right? I've heard of people paying 50 grand to be at these. And they get over-covered because they're in the days before the show floor opens.
Right.
And local news and everybody who's lazy goes there with a camera crew, gets the first thing in the door. I remember one year it was a haptic feedback fork called the Happy Fork.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember, you saw the Happy Fork everywhere. Like, this is the big story at CES. But it was only because it was inside the door at Showstoppers, and everybody saw it, and everybody reported back. And so you got to go, of course, and you get free food. But I usually say that's not CES. If you just go to that, you're getting a subset.
You can't do everything. I mean, I get the emails from people, and I get the private meetings, and of course I'll look at LG and Samsung and Sony, yada yada yada. But
TVs are the big thing there still, right?
TVs are the most notable thing, but the big thing this year, and I guess I'm starting off what'll be a roundtable on this.
That's what I want to know.
I mean, it was all about Alexa and Google Home. Everything.
Please call it Echo so we don't get people out.
Yeah, right. As I said on my radio, from toys to toilets, everything you can imagine, including toilets and faucets and everything. And
Kohler had an entire voice-enabled bathroom.
Yeah, the Verdera Smart Mirror, and they had
the mirror sounded interesting
with them about
so you could talk to the mirror and say mirror, mirror on the wall.
Mirror on the wall. Right.
Well, the idea
it's got lights in it.
Yeah.
Well, so it's derived from the very popular makeup mirror series. So the reason it's called a makeup mirror is because it has the lights right in front, so that when you do your makeup, you have you can see what you're doing. And the nice thing about it is it's got the speaker built in on the bottom. So if I'm getting ready to go out for the night, or for getting ready for work in the morning, I got some music going going on. I can check the traffic right in there, and I don't have to bother my husband who might be sleeping in the other room.
Is it a decent speaker?
I didn't get to really hear. It's hard to gauge on the show floor.
It's very hard to gauge. Makeup, somebody there needs to go to facebook.com/Larry Maggot and scroll down to see how I look in Rihanna's makeup. Because there was a booth where they took a picture of a magazine, of a celebrity magazine, and then they superimposed that makeup on whoever was willing to have that be made up. So there's a shot of me made up in Rihanna's makeup. And I actually think I look pretty good. Can you guys find that shot?
Do you really want me to show that? I mean, that seems
I'm kind of
Oh, there you are. Oh, yeah, you do look really good. You look great.
Yeah, right. That's me, but that's Rihanna's makeup. That's me.
You know why you look great? That red, it's very made for your skin tone.
Okay. For the people listening at home, he does not look good.
But
I think you look fine. My honest opinion is I think you look fine.
He looks like Rihanna with a mustache and spiky white hair.
That's true too.
Yeah, and black glasses.
It's just makeup.
Just imagine that, folks. And pasty white, by the way. But imagine that. You look just like Rihanna.
Enough. But the fact that you could do it, right?
You could do that with Snapchat, Larry. Where have you been?
I know, but this was at CES, and I had to report something from the darn show.
Well, that's okay. So that's the thing. Sitting here from a distance, I see, and we sent Robert Ballastero, Scott Wilkinson was down there, Dick DiBartolo. We had a lot of people down there. But sitting here from a distance, watching your guys' coverage and their coverage, I really felt like it was one of those shows where nobody has a good idea. So they're either doing crazy stuff like roll-up TVs, or they're mishing-moshing technologies together in any way possible, just desperate.
I don't know if that's true.
You don't think so? You're going to defend it?
I do want to defend it.
I disagree too.
Because,
good. All right.
So this is my first year covering. I've switching to covering more smart home. It's kind of the natural evolution of where Google's going. As we saw, they took out a giant ad on the monorail that said, "Hey G."
Hey G was everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere. Google
they even
was
had
everywhere.
assistants
Their people were everywhere.
In scary little Steve Zissou.
They were very warm though. Caps. They were warmer than me, so I was kind of jealous.
White jumpsuits. They looked strange.
Hopefully, I can find one on eBay. But I actually saw that in this move to get everything on an assistant, in this move to get like this home automation going in, there's also some really smart stuff that's being introduced. For instance, one of the things I saw that I was really impressed by the utility. Yeah, this is what the Google people were wearing.
Yeah, right. They were everywhere.
They were very warm because it was cold at night. It's the
wouldn't
desert.
you be embarrassed to wear that in public?
Not if you're getting paid really well hourly.
Not as embarrassed as having Rihanna's makeup on, but...
Well, she has good makeup, actually. Somebody else's, I might say, be embarrassed. But yeah, one of the things I saw was,
I don't get paid, by the way, for that.
And maybe Jason, you saw this, was the Fin Plus, which is this large device that connects to your central water pipe in your house, and it is effectively learns your water usage so that it understands if there's a leak, it understands if there is a giant break, and what it will do is it will automatically stop the water if it starts flooding up, and you don't even have to touch the app. So what happens, maybe you're in a meeting, your house is getting underwater in the basement or something, this thing will take care of it for you. Now it's a little cost prohibitive.
Is this from Belkin?
It's Belkin, yes. Okay. They're under the Belkin underarm.
Fin is PHYN.
PHYN.
Zoom out on my screen, Carson, because you're somehow way zoomed in.
That has to be professionally installed, right? Yeah,
it has to be professionally installed through one of their
only if you don't want to flood your basement. Yeah,
because I had a flood in my house last year, and with $50,000 worth of damage, so I'm very flood conscious.
Right. Yeah, and so for $1,000 you install this.
Flood sensors are nothing new.
Well, that's it. No,
this is another one. Sensor. This stops your water.
Oh, it turns it off.
It turns it off immediately.
Oh, okay. Well, that's useful.
It's really what I could have. That would have saved me $50,000.
Yeah, they had a whole demo where they actually had a booth on the show floor where the demo was all this gushing water, and you could see in real time how it stops that water and how you can tell. It knows where the water is coming from to stop it from there. So it's very smart.
So it's smarter than just a valve in your main.
Yeah, because a valve is like $50 from D-Link that you can just put in there and a little sensor.
I'm sure a water sensing valve has got to have been around for years.
Yeah.
So this is smart enough to find the leak
because it's learning your patterns.
It finds the leak or just cuts off the main.
Yeah, it does both. It can also tell if your pipes are frozen.
It does connect
to the
main.
So if you've got a summer house that's in a place that it snows, then you kind of know if, oh crap, the pipes are frozen back at my place and, on the Minnesota lakeside. You can stop it remotely.
I have leak detectors under all my faucets and toilets which would theoretically alert me if there's a flood. And it works, but this is much better because it shuts it down.
Yep.
But there's another one that I saw at CS Unveiled. I can't remember the name of the company now, where it basically measures your water temperature, your water pressure in real time, and lets you know. But just lets you know. It doesn't do anything.
So this does have an advantage over and above the big leak in your basement. This can, if there's a small leak. I mean, I've had this happen where a toilet's been running all summer and you get this massive water bill, or maybe a faucet's turned on outside. So this would also see that because it knows what's normal.
It gives you a little readout of what your water usage is like. It uses I want to say artificial intelligence to learn artificially.
This is the reason that the guy who started Smart Things, this is the whole reason that he started it. He had a house that was kind of remote. And it was like where he would go hiking. I'm talking about Alex Hawkinson, again, the CEO of Smart Things. And they went up with his family, was ready for vacation, and went there, and like the pipes had flooded, broke. I mean, completely trashed the whole place. And he was like, how is it that this house was off the grid and I had no way of knowing what went on? And so that was his whole inspiration for starting Smart Things.
Wow.
Which was one of the early big hits of crowdfunding, 2012, and then in 2014 got bought by Samsung, and then this year at the show. Maybe one of the biggest announcements that has the most potential for long-term effect in terms of consumer experience was Samsung announced that, they used to have 60 different apps. They had an app for their ovens, they had an app for their fridge, they had an app for the TVs, they had an app for everything. They're putting all of it on Smart Things.
Are they though?
Not only, yeah, I mean they say that they are going to move everything to that because they're looking at it. So to Samsung Connect or to Samsung Smart Things, because it's both Samsung Connect and Samsung Smart Things that I have to juggle between. Yeah, so that they say that they're moving from the app perspective, they're moving everything to the Smart Things app, and I am assuming that includes Samsung Connect as well. Samsung Connect, of course, has the Smart Things hub built into it. But I think potentially you got to remember that the Smart Things it made its whole case as an open platform, right? So it works with iOS, it works with Android, it works with not just Samsung products. So, and they have 50,000 developers, and so and like 100,000 products or something that connect to it. So now Samsung is moving all of its stuff to that. So I think you have to think that, and one of the scenarios I asked them about was, okay, so one of the things that would be great is you have a Samsung TV, right? Your Ring doorbell rings. How about it could automatically come up on your Samsung TV? They said that's one of the things we've already, that we're actually.
Even though it's not owned by, and that was one of the things Smart Things from day one was a multi protocol hub. So Samsung says that in 5 years, every product it makes will be an IoT product.
Great.
Yep. Everything.
I hope the Wi-Fi routers can handle all that.
Was it LG that had trouble getting the refrigerator to respond? Did you see the LG keynote at CES?
The robot?
Yes, but I had a live demo of those things, and they worked really well in the smaller
but it's more
rooms.
fun to mock them.
I know. But the thing about LG is they're going both ways. They're going both Amazon and Google on their connected ecosystem of stuff. So their fridges will have Amazon, the smart speakers will have Google, the TVs have Google too, and WebOS.
So the robot is not the I'm looking at this. This is the keynote. Yes. I don't have the video, but it's probably fine.
I got to try this fridge.
So is the fridge the robot, or is that thing they're both the robot?
They're both robots.
The thing on the left looks like a Jibo.
That is
but it's not a Jibo. I don't want that in my house.
It has eyes. It's creepy.
It's creepy. It looks at you.
I don't like anything with eyes.
The best robots at CES did not look like robots.
The best robots had no eyes.
What were the best robots?
They just do things.
That was a robot?
The Affleck duck was my favorite. It's a robot that actually soothes children with cancer. And you can actually inject it with, you can give it chemotherapy. Wow. It's sweet.
Doesn't go Affleck. Does it?
Yeah, I called it the quackiest of all of the.
It's a little fuzzy duck.
It is.
Okay, so I saw Dick DiBartolo, but I guess they had a real duck at the booth.
Yes.
And then I thought that was the robot, but that's not it.
The animal
that was an actual duck.
It was from the Animal Actors Guild Award.
Yeah, it was a member of that. It was a SAG-AFTRA member.
SAG.
And so this is cute.
Really cute.
But that's funny because Affleck's an insurance company, but that's
they're doing
their
this
brand.
as a charitable thing.
Oh,
yes, but they
neat.
want you. But they're an extra insurance company, so they want you to think, "Oh, we care about you." So,
by the way, that was a prototype duck. Don't get your hopes up. It says prototype duck.
Take it away.
they also had They also at Showstoppers, the same show. They also had a breathing pillow for people.
The robot that you sleep with. Yeah,
that you sleep with, and it like makes you feel like you're sleeping on someone's chest. It's very comforting.
Is it?
I mean, yeah, it's like those compression
CNET
blankets.
tested it, and they gave it pretty good. They gave it a pretty good look. Yeah, they said it was helpful.
It's a cuddle buddy. It's effectively a cuddle buddy with a motor inside.
Yeah, and makes sounds and soothing.
It's like purring.
Noises and
you don't need a cat.
And then you have like Roomba, which now has a robot mop too. So
Okay, but those robot mops,
is that
though,
like I saw Mickey Mouse in The Sorcerer's Apprentice. You don't want robot mops.
Also, D-Bot also had a mop on the floor, or Ecovacs rather.
iRobot has a robot mop. Oh, but it's just like an iRobot, except it
the
mops.
iRobot and my dog don't get along very well at all, and they wind up barking at each other. Well, the dog barks at the robot, so.
Wow, it's got a precision. This seems risky. It's got a precision jet spray.
No, that's how the Swiffer wet jet works. It's the same way the Swiffer wet jet works.
But a human is doing it.
Yeah, but
this one is like a robot going around spraying water on your stuff.
It has 3 different levels.
Does that seem like a good idea?
Yeah, it has 3 different levels. I looked at so you can have like completely. It's like it totally is like a Swiffer, right? So it has the completely dry, and then the slightly damp. And then the more like, you've got some stains, folks, you need to get them out. Then you have
let's just take a step back here. It was at the beginning of this conversation, my proposal that this was a crap show, and you have done nothing.
No, Leo.
Nothing to disabuse me of this.
The house is
this
automation.
Is all stupid stuff.
I will tell you about connected window washer.
Man.
So I picked up a $49 product at the show, which actually improved my life slightly.
All right, what was that, Larry?
What it is, it's made by Anchor, and there's another one.
Oh, the Rove. I know what you're talking about.
It's the Rove, and basically it's Alexa for the car. Oh, yeah. I said the word.
I already ordered it.
Yeah, really? And it's $49. You plug it into your cigarette lighter. It takes a minute to install, and you can say a word, play KCBS, or a word. Play Elvis Presley. Whatever.
This is something else. Let me go.
No, it's called the Revive. It's called the Roav
Here it is.
Viva. Roav Viva.
It looks like this, but I don't think this is it.
That's it. No, that's it.
No, it's not. This is something they had before. Now they have.
A little different now.
Here's the Viva. There it is. Yeah. This has Amazon's Echo support built into it. We actually had one yesterday in the new screensavers. It worked pretty well.
It worked pretty well. Although when you get into areas where the cell signal, I used it for 700 miles on the trip home.
Oh, you drove home with it?
Nice. Yeah, I drove home with it. When you get into flaky areas, you're still getting some LTE, but not very strong. It craps out on you.
Well, what do you expect? It's not magic.
It's not well, but I mean, even areas where my phone was still working.
Right.
So basically, I have XM radio in my car. They're about to get a nasty call from me. I'm dropping XM.
This would be much better.
There's no reason to pay whatever is $15 a month for Sirius XM. I've got TuneIn Premium. I've got Spotify. This works with Amazon Music.
People are going to say, though, you can already do that with your phone. The difference is it's hands-free. You could talk.
Android Auto is hands-free, and it's free on Android devices.
Okay, so if you have Android Auto, you wouldn't want it.
You can just do Hey G.
You wouldn't want this.
Yeah.
But I have a Tesla which has voice, but it doesn't have Android Auto or Apple's CarPlay. And this would be great that I could say, "Hey Echo,
or you could
listen to my audiobook." That's mostly what I do in my car. Or hey, listen to Twit on TuneIn, and it would play it. And what it does, I gather, is you have to have a cigarette lighter, or I guess they call it accessory.
Your cigarette has to be in the right spot. It has to be. It can't be on the floor.
It's a cigarette lighter. Let's all be honest here with ourselves.
And it has 2 USB ports, so you can charge stuff with it. So it's convenient.
That's good. Okay.
And then it pairs to your phone, which then pairs to the car. So the phone is doing the hard work of Echo. And the audio comes out of the phone, and if it's coming out of the phone, then it will come out of your car.
What this is mostly doing is it's mostly a better microphone than your phone has when it comes to speaking with.
Well, it's hands-free.
Here's what they did. What they did and their competitors, which is a company called Sound Design's Muse, didn't do, is you can also use it to configure. You can make phone calls with it, and you can also use it with Google Maps. So I can say, "Hey, A-word, drive to San Francisco or whatever," and it will. It will not only will it configure Google Maps, but it will go through all of the screens. You ever do it with voice now on Google Maps, and it makes you click yes, confirm.
Yeah.
Completely hands-free. It actually
But see, that's where
changes
Android Auto and Apple's CarPlay would be a good thing, but most cars still don't have it.
$50. You're done.
You wouldn't need it if you wouldn't need.
I use it on my phone in my car.
Yeah, but you have to take your phone out.
No, I don't. It just turns on immediately when it connects to the Bluetooth.
Well, Android Auto works. Although my car, for some reason, I have a new Toyota. It doesn't have Android Auto. They didn't put it in their new Priuses for some stupid reason. But this works.
I'll do a how-to for all about Android.
Good idea.
Wait a minute. But you have, so you do or do not have Android Auto?
I have Android Auto on my phone.
On your phone?
Do you have it in your car?
Yes.
Oh, what you're saying, it's on your phone.
The minute I turn on my car, my Bluetooth turns on.
I use that,
Yeah. And then Android Auto pops up.
But it's still, you don't ever have to touch the screen. You just say, hey, Google.
No, I just say, hey, G. It hears me just fine in my car.
And it does everything.
Yeah,
I've
enabled all those permissions. I had to enable it so that it would work without, and I use smart lock so that it knows.
You also mount your phone probably somewhere on the dash.
I do.
So, see.
Did I ever show you my trick? How I mount my phone? Can you see this picture? Velcro.
Oh, yeah, the Velcro. My mom does that. She loves the Velcro.
So attractive.
I have one of those little metal plates, and then for $10 you can get that Scotia mount, and you just put that Scotia mount, boop.
Yeah, in the vent.
I'm going to bet that most people.
I have mine on the dash.
I'm going to bet most people do what I do, which is you shove it in the cup holder and you just leave it there.
It's because you have a nice interactive screen.
Yeah, I have a 17-inch screen.
It's true. You've got a 17-inch screen in your dash.
Yeah. So I was thinking you had the Android Auto, that goes in your car, on the car.
No, my car's too old for that, or proprietary, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So
mine's not old; it's proprietary.
I think I agree. This Viva this Anchor Row Viva is a intermediate product.
It helps.
It helped me. I use it for 700 miles, and frankly, it made things easy enough and more reliable that I think it's worth the $50. Unless you have a great experience with Android Auto, which I don't have. I've had mixed experiences. And again, I'm getting rid of XM. The reason I was using Sirius XM was because of ease of use. And now it's actually easier to use my voice and get whatever stations I want on my phone.
So it wasn't just Echo. You also saw Google in a lot of places. I thought
big time.
I liked this. Did you guys see the Lenovo Google?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw the LG one too.
I reviewed it on larrysworld.com.
So the idea here is it looks a lot like Amazon's Echo Show, except the Show is 7 inches. This is 8 or 10 inches, so it's bigger. How is the speaker? Is the speaker good?
It actually has YouTube too.
Yeah, which Echo. Now we know why Google pulled that YouTube from.
Now I got a private demo in a quiet room, and I thought the speaker was fine. I mean, not great, but good.
It's fine.
Well, I mean,
it's like a kitchen gadget. Right. It's a gadget you put in the center console in your house, the common areas where everybody, or maybe you put it in your bedroom if you live by yourself and you want a little interactive thing over here.
I mean, at the show, the CTA researchers, voice is huge, right?
Yeah.
It's not just Amazon and Google, but all kinds of folks that don't have voice yet are trying to add voice to their products. In some cases, probably successfully. In most cases, probably not. And they'll eventually support both. And you see a lot moving to support both. Some will support one originally, and they'll sign an exclusive for whatever a year, and then they'll eventually support all of them. The key is, so the CTA, their researchers said that voice speakers are the fastest growing consumer category since tablets, which were the fastest growing since DVDs. So though it is one of the very, very few handful, top 5 fastest growing categories they've ever seen. So there's no doubt these things are going, according to the CTA.
According to a new study from Edison Research, NPR published this week, 1 in 6 Americans now own a smart speaker.
Wow. And one of those
39 million people, 16%. Penetration among the population 18 and older, 11% Amazon, 4% Google.
It's because of advertising.
But, Amazon's
Marketing.
3 years older than the Google Home.
Right.
And I think this is a big jump for Google Home, frankly.
It is a big jump. Yeah.
They're a third,
doubt.
but they're going to. But here's the thing that makes me happy. Because of it, 71% are listening to more audio.
It's so true.
They're watching less TV.
Yes.
They're listening to podcasts. They're listening to music.
While
they're
I'm doing
listening.
my laundry.
Yeah, to audiobooks. I think this is very good for podcasting. You can listen to our
Good for
shows.
you, that's true.
Yeah.
We're safe.
Always the problem with podcasting, I said this from 11, 12 years ago from day one, is it has to be as easy as it is to listen to a radio station.
I agree.
Now it's
Now
easier.
it's easier.
It is.
Easier voice.
Yeah.
It is.
And
Yeah,
that's
with the voice.
huge because you just say, Echo, listen to Twit on TuneIn, and you're listening. Actually, you don't even have, that's for Echo. On Google, you just say, listen to Twit, the Twit podcast, and it'll do it.
And now you can do it in your car as well, which is great. Easily in your car.
Thanks to the Rove.
And other
Yes.
products.
And
Yeah.
Anchor
And other
Rope.
products.
And Garmin has one too, by the way.
Yeah, Ford's building it in. The car makers are building them in. I mean, they're going to race and they're going to have both of them. The same way that there's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto going in almost all the new cars. They'll be the voice assistants are going to be enabled.
Did that make Android Auto and Apple CarPlay obsolete in a couple of years? I mean, you're not going to need that either.
No, because people are still going to want it built in their car. Like people still love the fancy stuff in their car. There's definitely still a market for that.
Right, but wouldn't you rather use your voice
want
than
your
have to even tap on it? I mean, I know you can use your voice with Android Auto, but it seems to me you're not even going to be thinking about that. You just think about the content you want to listen to and whatever the wake-up word is.
I mean,
Let's take a break.
care
I
about.
actually want to talk a little bit about cars.
Okay.
Because, of course, cars was a big part of CES, but also
Absolutely.
I do think car behavior is changing a lot.
I agree.
I've been seeing a lot of pictures, for instance, of the Tesla Model 3 dashboard, which has no gauges, no buttons. There's 2 stalks in the steering wheel and one smaller, not even that big of a screen in the middle. That's where your speedometer is. That's where the auto driving is. It's very interesting. I think we might be moving to a world where there are fewer buttons and more voice control. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Florence Ions
Brain
here.
implant. Just do it with your brain.
That's where I want to go, man. I just want to think it and it happens. Florence Ion is here from All About Android, from Jason Heiner from Tech Republic, from CBS Radio News Radio. Got to get it in the right order. CBS News Radio, Larry Magid. Hey, speaking of the Ring doorbell, that's who's bringing us the show this week. The Ring video doorbell, and which, by the way, I should, in case you don't know, I mean, who doesn't know about the Ring doorbell? Who doesn't own it yet? If you don't, just go get it. You put it, it replaces your regular doorbell, has a high-def camera in it, has a speaker, a microphone, motion sensors. Now, when somebody comes up your path, you see them, you get an alert no matter where you are in the world on your phone, it rings. You actually hear it probably all the time on our podcast. We all own it, and there's always the sound of the Ring doorbell, the wind chimes of somebody coming up, or the ding-dong of somebody pressing the doorbell. You can see and speak to anyone on your phone anywhere, and you can even share video clips with neighbors using the Ring app. And you might say, why do you want to do this? Well, if there's somebody suspicious in the neighborhood with the Ring neighborhood features, and of course you have to participate. You don't have to, I mean, you have to say yes to it. But you can share these and say, hey, there's somebody, keep an eye out. This is making neighborhoods safer. Absolutely. In fact, they put 1 in 10 homes. If you go to ring.com, you can read about this. They gave them Ring doorbells, and the crime went down almost half, more than 40%, just because 1 in 10 homes had this. Everybody should have a Ring doorbell. It's good for you and your neighborhood. And now with the Ring floodlight and spotlight cams, you can build a ring of security around your whole home. The floodlight cam is, you've probably seen these, the lights that are motion activated. But first of all, these are LED lights, so you don't have to climb up and change them and get rid of all the yucky spider webs. So that's nice. They go forever. And then they have attached basically the same unit as the Ring doorbell, except there's no doorbell. They have the cameras, the microphone, the speaker. They also have a big light and a 110 decibel siren, which you could trigger remotely. So if somebody's in your backyard, you could say, hey, what are you doing there? Talk to them. Even if you're far, far away, you're at work or you're out traveling. And then if they don't get out of there, you press the alarm button, they run. Ring floodlight cams offer the ultimate in home security because thieves just can't hide. So now you're monitoring your front door, you're monitoring every corner of your property. So if you want to get some sense of what Ring can do to save you, I love this. In the Ring Twitter feed, people are putting up, this is from the Baltimore police, a person sought in a burglary. Because they got the video from the Ring video doorbell. After a chance encounter with the Clark police at a local restaurant, Logan got the surprise of his life. Oh, when the police showed up with a toy police car and made him an honorary junior police officer. That's also the kind of things you can record. Here's something from the camera, the floodlight cam. This is actually this is IMQ. tweeted this. Shout out to Ring capturing me being scared half to death by the neighborhood stray cat. Superheroes come in many forms. This is good. So the woman steals the package and she's running to the getaway car. The getaway car pulls away and she falls out. And here comes the homeowner. And she tackles her. Get off me. I'm calling the cops. Anyway, fun to follow the Twitter feed. Twitter.com/Ring for examples of all the things Ring can do. The Ring video doorbell and the Ring floodlight cams, you can get them together with a Ring of Security kit with 1, 2, or 3 floodlight cams. You get your choice of the Ring Pro or the regular Ring, and connect your Ring video doorbell with your favorite smart locks and hubs, too, for added convenience, monitoring, and security. This is like the best example of what IoT can really do. Stop crime before it happens. Help make your neighborhood safer with Ring. Save up to $150 on a Ring of Security kit at ring.com/twit. Ring.com/twit. And we thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech and for keeping my neighborhood safer, that's for sure. Plus, when the UPS guy comes, I can say, leave it there. And you can watch the package if you have a problem with packages getting stolen. That's a big problem in Petaluma for some reason.
IoT.
Yes.
Leo, could we say one last thing on CES?
One last thing. We're going to do a whole nother segment on it. We're not done.
Oh, good.
It's too much.
What?
Well, So the real story of CES this year, and it's really been leading up to this year, the last several years, because CES started out, right? It was a TV, DVD, VCR kind of show. It evolved into, for a few years, it was a PC show. Microsoft and Intel kind of dominated for a few years, and then for like a minute, it was a mobile devices show. Before that, all moved really to Mobile World Congress.
There was a few weeks when it was a Apple iPhone accessory show.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Those were not the best days.
That's when I started going.
No.
Mac World turned into Case World.
Case World.
Yes. But for the last 2 years and this year was really the capper of it. It's really become an Internet of Things show. It's about everything that's connected, right? It is. And the great thing is, in every one of these categories, what I saw this year was even a step beyond that. It was about all these devices getting a lot smarter. So it's really the wizard behind the curtain is big data and machine learning on all of these things. You had a lot
Jason,
of things that. Yeah, go ahead.
If I can take it a step further, they're actually getting useful. So IoT has actually been around CES for probably a decade. I mean, Samsung has been showing smart refrigerators for as long as I can almost remember, but they were really dumb smart refrigerators. They didn't do anything useful. And they're beginning to actually be practical. I mean, even the refrigerators are starting to be quasi-practical in the sense that you can now see what's in them without opening them, and that actually is a good thing because it means you're saving energy. It's not a great thing. But we're starting to see people actually think about not the fact that we can do this, but it's actually solving real world problems. And I think that's, to me, what I got out of this year was, actual utility, not completely, but more than I've seen in previous years.
So you finished my sentence for me, Larry. I think the thing is, so to Larry's point is, there have been a smart bed for years, right? For a few years. Sleep Number. Now this year it's smart bed. They're talking about like the next level of the sort of big data and machine learning. So the bed, not only now when you're laying in it, can check your heart rate, your respiration, your brain waves, and things like this. Some of the other beds actually do that, but and then they can automatically, if you're snoring, right, they have a sensor that will prop you up a little bit to help you so that you're not snoring anymore. They say that the next step for them is that bed can sense when you're having a stroke, when you're having a heart attack, and can automatically call EMS. So that especially like if you're alone, that you don't you don't go hours without treatment. So really, it is this next level of taking the data and machine learning to the next level. Same thing with Under Armour with their smart sneakers. It used to be just about tracking your steps and miles and that kind of thing. Now that smart sneaker tracks the cadence of your run and your stride, your length of your strides, and will give you mile splits for when you're running. But if a lot of times what it found is that 80% of people overstride, and that leads to injuries and also less performance. So the app actually will coach you and say, look, you're overstriding. And so now, you can adjust your stride. Same thing with the bed. The bed can actually coach you a little bit and on, okay, we understand your activity level because we connect to these other things in your life, the apps where maybe you track diet, where you track your exercise, and it can tell you, look, the days when you are exercising in the morning, you're sleeping a lot better. And so it will coach you, on better behavior. So
Jason, if I can add something on this IoT. So I don't know if Sleep Number is doing this, but there's no reason if you do have the heart attack in the middle of the night, why it couldn't unlock your door for the paramedics, turn the light on in the room. I mean, you could create an integrated platform that could literally set into a trigger of things that would save your life. And that's not there yet, by the way. This is all still futuristic, but it's practical. It's going to happen. And up until a few years ago, I thought it was pie in the sky. Maybe before, we should talk about what does your coffee maker have to say to your washing machine? Well, it turns out they have absolutely nothing to say to each other.
I think you guys smoked the CES brain candy because
it's legal.
I mean, like all this stuff sounds practical, but
it has for years.
And what do you have to give up for it? You have to give up your data for some of this stuff to work really well.
I'm not so worried about that. You're right. I think a lot of people will be. A lot of people. One of the reasons that Echo and Google are only in 16% of homes is because probably 50% of America doesn't want anything with a microphone on in their home.
But with all this machine learning and artificial intelligence,
limit market penetration. However,
it's learning about
I also think this is the story that's been told by these home automation people for years, and it's okay. You think it's really going to happen? Really, is my bed going to save my life? Really?
I don't know if your bed can save your life, but I turn the light on in my bedroom now through Alexa. I mean, it's not a huge big deal, but it's a little thing that makes my life a little better.
Yes.
I make sure my door is locked before I go to bed at night. I make sure my door is locked, and I set the alarm. All that without having to get out of bed. I even turned the fireplace off now, which is an electric fireplace, of course. I'm
skeptical.
Is this vital? No. Is it helpful?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't mind the privacy thing. I'm not one of that group. I have Echoes and Google Assistants everywhere.
But there's
a
lot of people who are a part of that.
Yeah,
group.
I understand. That's going to be a limiter.
Yeah, which is.
But if you're not, my objection isn't even that. It's just that I feel like we've been promised this for so long, and it's like
I'm
clap
saying
on,
seeing
clap off. I mean, come on.
I saw Simple Human, the trash can makers, have actually made it so that you can just say "open trash" and it'll open the door for you the trash can. That's all it does.
There is another reason besides privacy that people are reluctant. This stuff adds up. This is getting expensive. How much is that bed?
That bed. Yeah, the bed's expensive, but you can actually get. There are other companies like Early Sense where you can get some of get a lot of that monitoring stuff for $200, and you just slip it under your mattress. We tested that one, and it does actually work.
When Philippe
Kahn had a company,
Sleep Tracker, and that's actually he's got a partnership with one of the big Beauty Rest.
Right.
So in fact, when we had Philippe on just the other day on Triangulation, and I meant to get one of these sleep trackers. It's $99.
Right.
So
check out the one from Early Sense too, because that's one that they did hospital beds, and now they've taken their technology and they've brought it to the consumer market. And they also and they announced this at CES. It was one of the best of CES products. That same tracker that they have. Early Sense Precept is the name of the new product. It actually helps women in fertility to know if they're trying to get pregnant. Couples are trying to get pregnant.
Hey, check this out, guys. I got more than 8 hours sleep last night. This is what it's called driving home from CES. I get 8 hours and 46. But my Ooh, it looks like my pulse was a little bit higher than usual. I got to watch that. All sorts of data.
So you really
mine.
think this is more than just gimmicky? I know a lot of people track their sleep, but what do you really do with that?
Well, I know that my pulse rate was too high last night.
Well, but what are you going to? Are you going to go to
coffee.
the doctor? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm going to drink less coffee.
All
I
right.
don't know what to do.
Well, doctors these days require that you come with a lot more data when you go to your appointments. And I'm finding that the more that these things become prevalent in our
They
lives,
might ask for that.
They ask for it now.
What's
they
your heart
ask me
rate?
for a log of these things. And I'm
Really?
like, yeah.
Your doctor
it's-
does that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really
They want me to
interesting.
keep track of everything from like how I'm feeling emotionally and mentally to how my body is functioning. And it's if you want the best results from your doctor, because as we know, health insurance is very expensive in America. You got to go
Data's
fully
king.
prepared with your data.
Data is king.
Then the
there's
question is, what will the
three-
insurance company do with that data?
There's one thing
There's
we're
three
not.
pillars.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Jason.
Go ahead, Florence.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say there's three pillars to health, right? There's nutrition, sleep, and exercise. And sleep is sort of the weakest pillar. We've worked a lot on other things over the last few years. Data has provided a lot of help in the other areas, but sleep is the one up to 40 to 60% of Americans are sleep deprived or have sleep disorders. And there's sort of this new thing where we sort of have this thing that we call sleeping is the new standing. A couple of years ago it was like sitting is the new smoking, and so everybody was getting into standing desks. Well, now it's like this year this was the unsung hottest new category at CES was sleep technology. And so, but it wasn't just tracking your sleep. There's also the ones that you plug in, little speakers that you plug into the outlet in your room. It creates, like a sound bubble, because sound is one of the main things that wake you up. There's also a thing that Philips does, and another one is a headband that you put on, and that headband takes your D waves, so it makes the quality of your sleep. As you get older, the quality of your sleep gets worse, and they think that this is one of the things that leads to things like Alzheimer's and other diseases. And so these headbands, they're pretty funky looking, but apparently they take your D waves, which is how you measure the quality of your sleep, and they can lengthen your D waves by putting on these things that give
But
you.
how am I supposed to sleep at night if I have this giant thing
This
on my head? I'm
headband?
already uncomfortable.
That
Well,
was my
then you might want to
question,
put on
too.
the Xenoma e-skin pajamas and really get uncomfortable.
Those looked really interesting. I saw a lot
This
of
is
sites
Engadget's
get
Best of
Yeah.
CES. They measure your health while you're sleeping. They
Heart
measure
rate,
your movement,
your veins.
your
assuming.
veins. What size veins do you have?
Or you could wear the new Omron blood pressure watch, which will measure your blood pressure while you're sleeping.
Okay.
It's a smart watch that
Then I have
it's
to
not
wear
going to be
a
out later
watch.
this
Yeah,
year.
I don't
And
sleep
like
well
to-
with all
I
that
don't like
gear
to wear
on.
stuff. I don't
I
wear
don't like
jewelry or
wearing a watch
anything
or
except
I don't want to look like a
pajamas.
downhill skier while I'm sleeping.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ones that are doing better are, a lot of people track their sleep. Fitbit was one of the things that started this, right? And
Yeah.
Fitbit's done a huge sleep study that they released in 2017 based on the millions of hours of data that they have on sleep. They were one of the ones that confirmed some of the, sleep deprivation of Americans in particular.
I feel like people come back from CES are aliens, and they've got some sort of weird injection that's making them look at this CES, Best of CES. This is from Engadget again, the Black Box VR Gym.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I'm not going to wear a Vive
Yeah,
while I work
yeah.
out.
No, it's super uncomfortable when you're
This is
sweating to
actually
wear
a
that
boutique
thing.
gym.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't like wearing it very late for more than like 15 minutes,
And
to
I
do
work
anything.
out in light clothing. I don't work out with things on me. I need to be. I already
All right,
have
this
a-
looks good.
you know.
I'm just going through Engadget's
Yes.
Best of thing. Here's from L'Oreal, a little chip you put on your thumb or your collar that
that's
measures
cool.
UV exposure.
That's cool.
That's kinda
I'd
cool.
use that in the
Yeah.
summer months.
Yeah, it prevents skin cancer and keep from
I
getting
go
a
to the
burn.
dermatologist every year to make sure I'm okay in the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah. It's a lot of those things that I saw. It's a good point because it's these little things. There's not a big product, right? The rollable TV, even it was more of a concept car than anything. They didn't even have it on the show floor, actually.
Right, on a special room on the.
Oh, really? You had to go to a
North Hall.
special room?
Oh, and
to
they
see
wouldn't
it?
even let me in. I didn't have the magic word. I couldn't even see it.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't really even understand the
gotta-
point of it, except then I realized, it's for people. it's like a projector screen that rolls down. So
exactly,
it's for people who don't want anybody to know they have a TV. Basically,
or micro apartments,
or like businesses are gonna use it, right? If you're going to take it to like one of these shows, for example, and use it, it's much cooler and much better to take to a show like CES and put it in your booth.
It's not that. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's not that small though. I mean, you got a big box that it rolls up into.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, better than dragging a 70-inch TV, you know.
Better than dragging a projector and the screen that you need for the projector, right?
How about a mouth guard with advanced sensors and Bluetooth that you put? That will
sounds
detect.
Really unhealthy.
You put it in your mouth, and when you've got when you have a severe collision, this actually would be for NFL, right? Because then they could say, "Oh, concussion protocol," because they don't really always know that you've had a severe head injury. I don't know. That's kind of cool. But prevention, biometrics, head impact monitor system.
It sounds like it analyzes it.
HIMS. Yeah.
The way you prevent concussions out to play football.
Yeah.
Or just make football less violent.
Did anybody see the Aibo dog? It's back.
Did you know that Japan has like a secret underground like club of people who've been keeping the original Aibo alive?
You could actually have stopped at Japan as a secret underground club.
True. And it would be anything.
People who marry pillows. So there's an Aibo.
That's also in Japan.
That's an Aibo. The old Aibo, the original
Aibo, where they would switch parts, and the thing is, the people became so attached to these robotic animals, and so I think part of the reason they're bringing it back is because they saw this community that was still like really held around them.
What was that? Did somebody just take a robot?
That was a real dog.
Oh,
I'm trying to
I thought that was Aibo.
I have a real one here.
I heard a little.
That's funny.
That's funny. Does it leave little battery poops behind it?
No, it leaves real poop behind it.
Okay. Right.
Like the baby toys that poop?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to lift him up, but he doesn't like to be picked up. He's getting too old to jump on my lap.
Neither does my cat.
Okay. What else did you guys see that
there was a lot of connected jewelry. Just Leo's on a connected jewelry on his screen
Dell
right
X
now.
Nikki Reed.
Nikki Reed's an
Circular
actress.
Collection jewelry. I don't know. She's an actress?
Yeah, she's an actress.
This was the People's Choice Award. Dell and I should have said Dell and Nikki Reed. They took recycled computer parts and made them into rings or earrings. They don't do anything. They're just recycled computer parts.
Well, there was a connected ring that acted a lot like a Fitbit sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm testing that. Motive.
Oh, I have
nice.
they were an
How do you like
advertiser.
it?
I
Is
have
it
the Motive. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad. So one of the reasons I tested this because we've been testing some of these sleep products.
See, that's the thing. I can wear a ring like that. It's not like wearing a watch.
Yeah.
I can wear a Motive ring, which I do to bed.
Yeah. It is. It's better than having a whole bracelet on. I mean, I still have the Apple Watch too, but this thing tests sleep. The Apple Watch doesn't really test sleep, right? So we wanted something to gut check against some of the sensors, right?
Smart.
To see and so the Motive, will track your sleep, and it's nicer to put that on than some. I don't wear my watch at night. Yeah. So and it's pretty accurate. So it's pretty good as a baseline to test some of those things like how much sleep you're getting and basics.
Jason, I was just thinking about this last night because I get migraines, and they've become more frequent the more
you need more Botox.
And I'm wondering if
you need more Botox. They put it right here. No, I'm not kidding.
No, I know.
I saw
I've
it
heard
on
that
TV.
too.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's from all this Wi-Fi connected stuff. I mean, I have like 40 different Wi-Fi connected devices in my
maybe
house.
maybe all the screens you're looking at. I don't know.
I would say probably not the Wi-Fi because that stuff has been tested and tested over and over again for years.
They keep scaring us. They keep scaring us.
Yeah, but when they scare you, they scare you saying, well, there's no evidence to support this. No studies confirm it. But just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. Don't put your cell phone next to your head or your Wi-Fi under your bed.
Right. I wake up in the morning. It's my alarm clock.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't worry about that. I think you're getting migraines because life.
Yeah, no, life, definitely.
Yeah.
By the way, did anybody see the puppy one, the suitcase that will follow you anywhere you go?
I think this is a great idea. I would buy
Joanna
this.
Stern did a very funny video. Anybody on Wall Street Journal where it actually showed the thing falling down on the job and tripping over things. But that's an example of a product which I don't think is.
It'll go up to 7 miles an hour.
Don't leave me, mother. Don't leave me.
I mean.
Here's Joanna's piece in the Wall Street Journal. Watch out, that suitcase drives itself.
Look how it's like R2-D2.
It is. It's really cute.
It hasn't crashed yet. It crashes eventually.
If it works, I love this idea.
It's like a little
Yeah,
dog.
it's fun.
But how
It's
long
pretty
before
fun.
they ban this from airports? Just because.
Well, they may ban it from airplanes because the battery's on board.
Oh yeah, you can't bring it
Yeah.
on board.
That's the problem.
Oh,
The,
wow.
Well, some of the airlines. Remember, it's not the FAA. It's some of the airlines that are starting to ban the things
Yeah.
with batteries because they're rightfully worried that they know how their bag handlers treat those luggage, and if you puncture a battery, right, what happens? It can catch on fire. And we've all seen the videos of the things that they do with luggage, and we've had our own luggage get beat up.
So-
I can understand.
Here's the market idea. Uber rents these. You arrive at the airport. As soon as you step out of your car, you put your suitcase into a device that follows you all the way until you get to the airplane, and then you just leave it behind. And
So instead of the carts that they have,
yeah, smart. Oh, Joanna.
$2 for one of
Wait a minute,
these.
Joanna. Wait a minute now. You missed all the fun. Wait a minute. Let me go back a little bit. So she's I don't
she's
know.
gonna outrun it.
Oh, she's stretching. It goes
she's showing
7.
that I can't keep up with her.
Well, who goes to the airport and does that? Well,
I do.
actually, people do.
Kristen used to.
Yeah.
But look, then
I
you
mean-
just do that when you. There you go.
If you need to, you take the handle out.
Oh, this is a good one.
Ooh,
This is the part-
obstacles.
this is what you
Obstacles.
wanna
Yeah.
watch. Here we go. Here we go.
Because I'm a fast
There you go.
walker.
All right, jumped
No,
right over a
it's
piece
not
of wood.
bad.
Okay.
It doesn't always make
Oh,
there we
fell
go.
over on the.
Yeah.
It's so animated.
It is like R2D2. Does it go?
The marketing folks in that company must wish they had never met Joanna, though.
I
After
know.
all these.
No,
films.
that's what she's supposed to do.
I mean,
90 fun
this is amazing.
puppy one.
This is amazing promo. You can't buy this kind of promo.
Oh,
though.
they're happy.
I mean, yeah, look, I'm convinced. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at it. It's got wheels where it needs to have. It has a handle.
I don't mind if it falls
remote.
over once in a while. I might when I
You know?
carry my own bags, they fall over too.
It's just, is it going to be like Home Alone, except like you left your luggage in New York instead of your luggage got lost?
Now, there were some laptops there. I know Lenovo announced
Lenovo.
new X1s and
HP.
HP announced new laptops. I saw a beautiful laptop from was it Asus, the Swift 7, the 9mm thick. That looked really, really beautiful. These are all Windows machines. Apple, which is at least normally in the psyche of people.
Oh, yeah.
At CES.
They're uttered everywhere.
Like 2007, they announced the iPhone during CES, and that's all anybody was talking about, even though Apple isn't at CES, doesn't go to CES. This year, Apple, I think Siri especially, took a backseat to Amazon and Google.
There were a lot of HomeKit. A lot of people were announcing HomeKit.
Is HomeKit
compatibility.
happening or not?
It's they're trying to like Belkin announced a HomeKit
Okay.
hub, and there was a
Okay.
lot more like now it works with HomeKit announcements that came out from existing products.
That's just more of the Tower of Babel, though. That's why.
But Apple was definitely not overshadowed. What you're getting at, Leo, is Apple's overshadowed this show a lot of times, right? It definitely was
Yeah.
not the case
Not this
this
year.
year.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I think
from the
that
laptop
Apple is
side-
losing it. I don't know if anybody got get a shot of this. This
What
is
is
the new
this you
HP
got?
Elite Book. This is the Elite Book. Just
I
came
like
out.
the new HPs. Look at
Yeah,
that. There's
Mac
no
users,
bezel
don't,
left
don't
and right.
try this at home
Oh,
if you're a
nice.
Mac user. You
And
don't
it's
want to do that.
touchscreen.
It's touchscreen,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, I have my MacBook Air is in a drawer now. I'm in love with the new Windows laptops. I think Lenovo, HP, several of these companies are doing it right. The operating system works now, and the hardware is just much
Keyboard
better.
is comfortable. unlike
And this is
the
a
new
guy who,
MacBook
for
Pros.
5 years,
Apple really
used
screwed
nothing but
each other
MacBook
keyboard.
Airs. So it's not like a
Yeah,
Mac.
I still prefer Mac OS, but
It's great for. I was reminded how great Mac is for trade shows. I just had all my Adobe just like firing up,
Yeah.
no problems.
I like a bash
Yeah.
shell on. It's very hard to do on Windows. A lot of the things that I'm used to doing on Linux and Mac, but nevertheless,
get
I
the
agree
weird
with you.
drivers.
Apple has not done a good job with hardware.
And I
Yeah,
think that Windows has done a better job. I mean, Windows 10 on these laptops
They're
work.
better.
I mean,
It's
they're
better.
all first of all they're all solid state hard drives. So you don't have the Windows crud.
Yep.
I mean, the operating system, the hardware is making it so the operating system doesn't get in the way. Now, having said that, I don't have the latest updates. It's going to slow these machines down. I'm sure you covered that last week. Recently, the whole
Actually, we could talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but the Meltdown Spectre story because it evolves.
Right. And I'm wondering what impact that's going to have on performance going forward. but we'll
Jason,
see.
did you see one of the things Microsoft announced before CES, and I thought we would see a lot of, is Windows on ARM.
Yeah.
ARM processor-based laptops. Were there any?
Yeah, there were Lenovo's. Qualcomm talked a big bit about it. The Lenovo Mix 630, I think, was the one. You know,
Did you
not a-
try that? I
not
didn't
the-
get my hands on it. I saw it, but I didn't try it.
Yeah, not the catchiest name in the world, but I think that the big story with these ARM laptops is that. I mean, it's not that we haven't had ARM laptops and tablet 2-in-1 kind of things before, but they really are powerful enough now. And the big game here is they have two killer features. super long battery life. We're talking maybe 20 hours of battery life on some of these things. And they have mobile broadband, right? Because if you really get down to it with people that love tablets and are using tablets to do their work on, when you really push people on it, what it comes down to is the reason they like them is they don't have to hop on hotspots, that the mobile broadband is built in and they have connectivity without having to work on a hotspot like they have to do with their laptop. And so the fact that these laptops are coming to market with that killer long battery life and not only really good 4G radios that the software automatically jumps between Wi-Fi and 4G LTE real well, but these are going to have 5G built into them as well. They're going to be capable and ready for 5G, right? Because people have their laptops longer than their phones. They're typically on a laptop for 2 to 4 years. So by the time you buy one of these ARM laptops this year, in 2018, you're going to have it in 2020 when 5G is available and is going to be a real game changer. So that's the thing.
Will these work with 5G in a few years?
So yeah, I think that's the idea. That's Qualcomm's idea is to build.
They were talking about their gigabit. These Snapdragon chips have gigabit Wi-Fi or gigabit LTE. I'm sorry, built in. Nobody's providing it.
If they can deliver 20 hours battery life on there, I mean
that's a big one.
That's huge. Yeah.
But it's slower,
HP
right?
Claims 15 hours, but it doesn't really do that.
Did you feel like it was slower, Jason, when you played with the mix?
I mean, do I want it to use it to edit Photoshop photos? No, I didn't try any of that. But for the normal stuff that everybody does day to day, everybody's mostly in the web browser. That stuff felt very zippy.
Well, Florence, you're using a Chromebook.
I am.
And while I don't think that one's on ARM. I mean, Chromebooks run on ARM. And people choose Chromebooks not for speed, because they're simpler and because the battery life is great. And some of them even have LTE. So I think there is a market for that, for sure.
Did you guys see
bit.
Sorry.
Because No, there is speed a little bit on the Chromebook though, because I know people that I've recommended to them. The biggest thing for them is they just flip it on and it's on, and
That's
they start.
True.
Right.
Does Windows on ARM do that?
I didn't do a restart on any of those.
I have to say, my Lenovo X1 Yoga, which is not the current one, but the second generation came out last year, takes forever from a cold boot to start. I mean, I am waiting and waiting and waiting, and I thought and it's an SSD, it's a very fast processor. I thought when Microsoft had solved this, but on a Macintosh, you turn it on, it's done. On a Chromebook, it's even faster.
When it's actually power off to fully load it or restart.
Sometimes I let it die by accident or whatever, so I have to plug it in and power it up. That's when I see the really slow
I think
stuff.
this HP is pretty fast. It's funny. My new I've got the Pixel 2 with the newest version of Google OS, and it reboots almost immediately.
Yes,
which is amazing.
Yes,
it used to take hours to reboot an Android phone.
That's something they did in Oreo. You don't have to go through all the apps anymore and update them.
Yeah, Google's done really well at that. Yeah, I don't expect these are going to be as fast as a Chromebook. I'd be shocked if they were as fast as a Chromebook for boot. But we can hope that they are better than what we've seen with some of the Windows laptops.
There's Snapdragon 835s right now. There'll be 845s in the next generation later this year. And we are now getting, I mean, these are 9 nanometer chips. I think 9 or are they 10? Anyway, they're really, I think we're getting to the range where these ARM processors are starting to really look like desktop class processors.
Tiny little chips.
And especially with Intel and Spectre and Meltdown slowing down everybody's computer, this may not be an issue. All right, I don't want to end CES yet. Let's do one more. Think about the things that really matter, though. We didn't get to cars yet. Hyperloop, we haven't talked about it. Drones, we haven't talked about. So anything that you really thought was great that we haven't covered yet, we'll do our final CES bit in just a second. But first, I want to talk about our sponsor, our great friends at FreshBooks. And I mean a friend, because in 2004, when I was invoicing in Canada, and I wasn't invoicing, I hated invoicing, and I would put it off, and I wouldn't get paid. I was complaining because I had skipped 6 months of invoices. I used to go up to Canada to do the TV show, and I had to bill them for my time, and I put the expenses, and I had to do the currency conversion, blah, 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 and I didn't want to fire up Excel and Word and make an invoice. I was lazy. And after 6 months, I finally did all 6 invoices, and I gave it to them. And they said, if you ever do this again, Rogers, the bookkeeper said, if you ever do this again, we're just not going to pay you. And I went to Amber MacArthur. I said, what do I do? She said, oh, nice timing. My friends in Toronto have just started FreshBooks. It was a Web 2.0 company. Now, here we are. What is it, 12, 15 years later? FreshBooks has 10 million users. It is the easiest way, not just to make invoices. Yes, they still have that. In fact, that's kind of the spine, the cornerstone of what they do. But it turns out if you're putting all your expenses in, and you can do that so easy with their FreshBooks app, take pictures of the receipts and all that stuff. They go right into the invoices. If you're putting in your, bills and what you get paid, you've got accounts receivable. You've got everything you need to do your books. In fact, with the new FreshBooks dashboard, they just put this out. It's so beautiful. You'll know whether you're profitable at every moment of the year. You don't have to wait till tax time to know if you made money. And by the way, tax time comes, you're ahead of the game. You can do all the reports your bookkeeper needs. You can get it's beautiful. Of course, you can always send out professional-looking invoices in seconds. And because every invoice you send out from FreshBooks has a Pay Me button, you can take credit cards, payments online. They do it all for you. You don't have to get the merchant account or anything. It's all through FreshBooks. You get paid an average of twice as fast. Turns out your client hates paying bills as much as you do sending bills. And if you make it easy for them, everybody's happy. Clients are slow to pay. Don't worry. They have automated, reminders. You don't have to chase clients for payments. You don't have to go to the bank. You get the credit card payment instantly in your account. You see which invoices have been sent, which have been paid, which are overdue and outstanding, and how much is owed you. You can now create proposals with rich text content, images, and customizable sections. That's a great way to get new clients, show them what you can do. It really is beautiful. And then you kind of a step ahead of the game when they say, yeah, we want to use your services. They're already in your FreshBooks. And by the way, you can do time and hours automatically. It's in the app on iOS and Android, but it's also on the website. You can even designate different rates for different services. I mean, I can go on and on. Put your business on autopilot. For payment reminders to late fees, automate as much or as little as you'd like to, and get back to doing what you love. You didn't get into business because you like sending invoices. You got into business because you like what you do. And look at that, those nice folks. The FreshBooks team is great. Make 2018 your most productive year ever. And it did for me, by the way. Try FreshBooks free for 30 days at freshbooks.com/twit. Enter This Week in Tech in the How Did You Hear About Us section so they know you saw it here, and that'll help us. freshbooks.com/twit. Thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. All right, all three of you, you're all back from CES. You're all exhausted. Florence Ion is in an altered state, I can tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you tired?
I'm so tired.
I'm sorry to keep you up.
No. I always
You're
enjoy
just
being
glad to
Leo.
be back.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is why I'm remote. I would have driven to Petaluma, but I'm too tired to get back in the
you
car.
already drove all night. Yeah. So
Right.
We'll start with Florence. What any final thoughts? Anything you saw there? Anything you think everybody should know about CES this year?
Everything's going to be connected in the next year. Everything. I already saw connected sprinkler and irrigation systems from Scott's, the people behind most lawns.
From your jewelry to your bed.
Just everything is going to be connected. And it really, one thing that we didn't talk about, there's kind of a really quiet announcement was Qualcomm had talked about its chips and sort of what is the process to help consumers adopt more of these Internet of Things into their home. Because right now, when you think about Wi-Fi routers, they're not available or they're not ready for this sort of influx of connected things into your home. So I'm really looking forward to technology finally expanding to help me with my new internet connected life.
I have, and I know this because I can fire up my my Wi-Fi app. 62 connected devices.
Oh, you're
in my house.
double me. I'm at 35. Oh wow, I got a ways to go before I compete with Leo. Okay.
Cameras
all right.
and locks and everything.
Is that a challenge?
Echoes everywhere. Everything's connected already.
Yeah.
And you're right. Wi-Fi systems are not built for this.
Are things falling off for you? Because I'll wake up in the morning and some things just aren't registered to my Wi-Fi anymore.
They were until I went to these new mesh systems. Because what brought it to its knees was adding Echoes and Sonos. And they're all using 2.4 gigahertz. And it was just a mess. And getting a mesh, I use Eros, but almost any, and they're a sponsor, I should mention. But any mesh system will help you because that's kind of what I think that's the point, right?
Well, that's the problem is I am on a mesh network. I'm on Google Wi-Fi, and apparently
you need a better
the
mesh
chips,
network.
yes, inside those are up to 18 devices, and I'm at 35.
You see?
So, but this is a thing that's not being communicated to consumers, so that's what I'm here to communicate.
That's the first time I've heard that. I didn't know there was a limit.
I didn't know either until I had a little talk with chip makers.
That's why you're getting headache. Headache is keeping track of all these devices.
Gee, I didn't know you were going to have all of those.
I use the Orbi, and I had to go to a mesh because I had like over 50 devices at the point where I was getting over to 50 devices.
Man, I got a ways to go before I'm with you guys.
Orbi's
wow, okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Orbi's
I've got
good.
a Linksys network, and I've got these things, about 4 or 5 of them around the house. And, it's good. I don't have any dead spots.
Did you get the Velop, their mesh? Or
I think it's the Velop. I don't know. I'd show it to you, but if I disconnected it, the internet would go down and I'd be offline. So.
I've done that.
Bye-bye, Larry.
I did that in the early days of Twit. I would do things like, well, let me just get my router. Hello?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
I remember Paul Thurrott, we were doing Windows Weekly, and he said, I wonder, should I update? And at the time, everything was running off the Windows machine. He said, yeah, just hit return. I did, and then the whole show's over. It's just black, fade to black. Jason Heiner, your final thoughts. Anything we missed? Any big stories that you need to tell people about?
The biggest story, two, and I'd say 1 and 1A. Number one, it's about transportation, right? The stuff that's going to have the biggest impact on society will be transportation. And the number one was actually Virgin Hyperloop 1 was there. They had the pod that they used. They had the test in Nevada just a few months ago that reached 240 miles an hour. And I asked them, I said, okay, but the promise is going to be going 700-800. And they said, no, that was over a short distance. So that proves that it's actually going to be able to go the 700-800 miles an hour. They're like, we've proven the technology. Now we're just commercializing it. And it's all about, they're picking where the routes they're going to put it are and all of that. And we talked about, if they had it going from LA to Las Vegas, right? How long would it take? It'd be just under 30 minutes. And so But the thing that they did, which I thought was good, was they're thinking of it not as just a tube you hop in, but as a whole ecosystem. So they're making their data available for for what they do. Available to other transportation systems, to Google Maps, to others, and they're taking in all of the data that these existing routes will take, right? Like there are APIs for Lyft and there are APIs for public transportation, and they announced, or what they showed off, at least in private meetings, was this app that where you'll design your ride, right? From for example, from Las Vegas to Santa Monica Pier, and it'll show you the fastest, the cheapest, or the greenest way to get there. And so greenest, sorry.
Oh, greenest. I was like, the greatest way.
Well, greenest is greatest.
So it was it was a really good indication that they're thinking of it, not just as they're putting a tube in that'll take you from one spot to one spot, but they want to make an ecosystem so that as you get to that tube stop from Las Vegas to the Staples Center in LA, that 15 minutes before you're there, it's arranging your Lyft ride for you if you chose that's the next leg you're going to do.
Or your Metro ride.
All these
or your
things
Metro ride, right.
You're describing sound very science fiction. Like we're going to be.
This is us now.
This is now the future.
We can open our trash cans with our voice, and pretty soon we'll be able to get to LA within an hour, which lots of Disneyland weekend trips.
One of the things, maybe it was Jason Calacanis who told me this, that doesn't get covered enough with Hyperloop is freight delivery, and in particular undersea freight delivery, like from China to LA via a Hyperloop instead of a 747 loaded with iPhones. Did they talk about that at all, or was it all passenger travel?
No, it is both, because obviously, because we cover business a lot, we talked a lot about logistics and freight, and they say the thing is they can basically take the demand, understand the demand for both freight and passengers, and use the Hyperloop to help balance that out, right? So that when there's higher demand for freight, then they'll use that. Or again, they'll sort of say, okay, well, we've got more demand for passengers during this time, so the freight will have to go, on a plane, or it'll have to go over land. But they're talking about that kind of coordination and data. It's all based on this kind of real-time economics that run a lot of factories and those kinds of facilities now. So they're definitely thinking of freight, and that's going to be a cornerstone of of these kinds of things. Where they're going to build the first, what we got to, and there's a video on Tech Republic where I interviewed their CEO and talked to him about what's your roadmap going forward. Like, how far is this? He says it's like 2 to 3 years. What they're doing this year is they're probably likely to announce some of the first routes in 2018.
Wow. But how long will it take to build out those routes? I mean, isn't this a huge construction project?
So what they're doing is they're going for the flat things. They're going to be like the monorail in Vegas or like at Disney, right? That are just flat overland routes where they don't have to dig through, they don't have to dig underground, they don't have to dig through mountains, where if they're going through fields and private property, it's going to have a minimal impact, right? Because it's just one pylon essentially. And so the first routes are going to be straight and flat. So you got to think places like Texas, or they did sort of intimate that even the state of Colorado is looking at, on the eastern side of Colorado is pretty flat. And so they're looking at some of those places where, they may go between two of their major cities, that kind of thing. So those will go up quickly. The really hard things where you have to go, undersea, and you have to go through mountains, and you have to go, you have to do digging. Those are going to take more time. Those are, it's the digging that's going to take all the time, not the, putting up the tubes. But but it's looking pretty real over the next several years. And
is
again,
it going to tap into existing infrastructure? Because like here, for example, BART goes through tunnels, BART goes under the water. That infrastructure has already been built, but it's for BART right now. So I would imagine, like, how would this work? Because our Amtrak goes through kind of the same routes, but it's on a separate track. So is that going to have to be a third track that we have to add, or maybe a fifth track because we have freight here too? You know, just so we can accommodate this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Great question. I think I would expect, this is just my own speculation, right? I would expect they're going to sign some of those deals like that with some existing train and, track and tunnel infrastructure to say, let's replace what you've got with newer technology and create a better, experience.
Yeah.
So that's just my own speculation.
It's a new, here we go. Get ready.
Okay, we're going to watch it.
It's a pneumatic tube. Of course, if you're a human, you don't want it to accelerate too fast, or your brains will end up in the back. Is this real? This is from your video on Tech Republic. Is this real?
We go that fast on airplanes, right?
Yeah, but I guess
true,
so.
We do. We have no idea we're going that fast.
Okay, that's a good point. All right.
Right.
So it's like an airplane, but it's in a tube.
So it'd be pressurized on the inside, that sort of thing? Like climate controlled?
Yeah, it'll have to be. Yeah,
like the way airplanes are.
Yeah, it's sealed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so funny. This was Elon Musk's fever dream, and he suggested it. He just said, I'm not going to do it, but, somebody should build this. And there it is.
I mean, in fairness, people had been working on similar things for years. I mean, I think he got the idea. I think he got the idea from some things he'd seen some other people work on.
All right.
But he distilled the thinking of it the best, right? And so you have to give him credit. That's not to poo-poo what Elon did, and the fact that he was the one that really pushed this into the public consciousness.
As with
and
everything, it's an idea whose time has come, and somebody has to catalyze it.
Yeah. Getting back to your question, Leo, about CES, I was thinking about this. Remember the term ubiquitous computing used to float around a number of years ago? We didn't really know what it meant, but we were floating around. I think that's where we are. I mean, we talked about laptops, we talked about tablets, we talked about phones, but I think computing is literally in the air now, in the sense that you just, sort of you think it, you ask for it, and you get it. I mean, when I think about the Echo and things of that nature that just deliver the information I need to me in wherever I am without having to touch a device. And I just think it's moving in the direction where we're going to be dependent less and less on things that we have to touch. Whether we'll still have phones, but we may. For example, Vuzix had a really cool set of glasses, their version of Google Glass, which is much cooler than Google Glass, but it's going to have Alexa built into it. So you'll be wearing these glasses, and so what if you don't have a keyboard? Because you'll ask for what you want, and it'll just deliver it right there on your eyes through these very cool looking sunglasses. That's real. That'll be out this year. It'll cost $1,000, and it won't look that geeky. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what it's going to mean to be using technology going forward in the next, certainly in the 20s, in the next decade. And we saw that at CES, and for, as I said before, for the first time, it looked kind of real.
It's still a little dorky, but they're getting
Not
better.
as dorky as it used to be. That's a lot nicer than Robert Scoble in the shower in his Google Glass.
Yeah.
Not to mention the lack of shower.
Yeah. I am kind of interested in what Ninebot is up to. They bought the Segway intellectual property rights, and they have a Segway that you steer with your knees, so it doesn't look quite as dorky. But you liked that suitcase? Watch this. This is their new Lumo. It runs on Android, by the way, Florence.
Yes.
So you can write apps for it and so forth. And
you're gonna need a review unit of that, I think.
Yeah,
Florence.
so you ride it to the grocery store.
It's a little friend.
Like you would ride a Segway to the grocery store, but then you buy stuff and it will have it bring home, follow you and bring it home.
I'd love to have had that at college.
Yeah. So it is both something you ride on and something that will, follow you. And I have to say, I mean, I'm sure that suitcase is cool, but these guys have been making Segways for some time.
That won't trip over a little obstacle. That's rugged. Yeah, those are good size tires.
Wheels are giant.
Yeah.
Well, these are basic. This is basically a Segway that doesn't go. So they make these now. You can buy these Ninebot Segways that you steer with your knees. But
nerds will never get dates again because you can't offer to carry somebody's books, their backpack.
Robots will get dates instead.
I got my robot. I don't need it,
Well, you buy that pillow. You don't need a date. Yeah.
That's true. We don't need dates anymore because we've got a pillow to keep us company.
That's our future is another thing to consider. Is there's a lot of psychological impact of these things that are coming forward. So
I agree with you. I think your migraines are just one tip of the iceberg. How we're reacting to this. We're not built for this.
Well, also just, we think about online interaction, how people have moved a lot of their socialization online. And now with things becoming automated, I imagine we don't need as many things as we used to as humans. If we can just replicate it, we don't have to interact with humans and deal with other humans.
There was a certain irony on Wednesday when the big hall with all the TV sets went dark for a couple of hours.
Big story in Vegas that day.
The blackout. Yeah.
News story of the day.
Were any of you there?
I wasn't.
I was
wasn't
outside
in
the
hall.
Yeah.
I came in shortly afterwards, and it was great because it was practically emptied. Because they emptied it out.
That's what everybody said. It was quiet. You could talk. It wasn't so dark. By the way, Father Robert Balacer found the source of the problem. I believe. No, I'm just kidding. That's the picture from Airplane, the movie, the guy unplugging the radar there. But I think that it was more than just a power outage. It showed that one of the drawbacks to all of these things is no electricity. Power. You're back in the Stone Age.
Yep.
Or at least in the 20th century.
It's true.
I mean, what happens to your Kohler voice-activated bathroom?
Did you hear about the voice-activated toilet seats?
Yeah.
That you can warm up. When you're downstairs, you go, hey,
warm up the seat.
Warm up the seat for me.
I'm coming on up, and it warms the floor, and it plays music to you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but if the power goes out, it doesn't do anything.
Exactly. Then
what happens is your house becomes an S-hole.
Yes. And I presume that, I actually like these Japanese toilets. We have them at home. I think that's the no touch. You're not touching anything. Mm-hmm. They're really nice. But I also understand that if you don't have electricity,
how do you flush them?
My toilet, there is no knob.
Oh, this is just the seat.
Well, Kohler made a bathroom that has faucets,
the faucets are connected, the shower, the bathtub, those were connected.
But has anybody ever walked into a public restroom and had them not work?
They never work.
And I'm thinking, give me a faucet. I just want to wash my hands.
Did people go from the Kohler exhibit to the CES bathrooms and then they couldn't get the water to come on and the soap doesn't work and the paper towels, you're going, towel.
They were really beautiful bathrooms, I have to say.
All bathrooms that haven't been used are gorgeous.
It's true.
They're gorgeous when they start.
There's truth.
They picked beautiful granite, though. I just want to kudos Kohler for.
It was a beautiful booth.
Granite.
I agree. It
was it?
It was a really beautiful booth. Yeah.
There was. We finally seeing now the Windows powered glass GLAS thermostat. That's beautiful.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's not going to change your life. Going to empty your bank account, but it's not going to change your life.
All these things are so much smarter, though. This kind of gets to Larry's point.
Yeah.
You know, all these things are so much smarter.
Okay.
That's the biggest leap forward I saw. It's the data is so much better. The intelligence is so much smarter, and so these things are, as a result, far more useful. You know, whether it's it is kind of connected everything, as Flo said. You know, I got a connected water bottle now, for goodness sake.
Oh, you know
what do you do with that?
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think it's worth it? Like I
do. It flashes at me when I haven't drinking enough water. It glows red.
I don't want my bottle to tell me that.
And I get a little alert on my phone where it says like very witty things like, if you drink a little more water, there's still gonna be plenty left in the sea, and stuff like that. So
does it know how often you go to the bathroom because you're drinking all that water? Because that's when it becomes inconvenient.
This is true. I figure this gets me up to walk to the bathroom.
You are supposed to get up every 20 minutes.
More.
Yes.
Yeah, I discovered on the way home from Las Vegas that my car had the feature that told me to take a rest. It actually brought up a cup of coffee. Wow. And I don't know whether it was based on how long I was driving or how I was driving, but it was adamant that I stop and take a rest.
In your Prius? I think it's based on your it's reading your, I believe it's reading like your eyes, supposedly.
Could be. Because it happened really quickly.
What if you're
I'd only been
allergic
driving
to
for half an hour.
caffeine?
Take a rest, Larry.
Does it know? What if you're allergic and you'll have a breakdown, a psychotic breakdown in the
When I
Prius?
used to commute from San Francisco 2 hours a day, I was always deathly afraid I'd fall asleep on the way home.
You do. It's
just scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
So I would.
Well, with your Tesla, Leo, you could just drive itself home, right? Just turn on the autopilot.
Exactly. That's when I want the self-driving.
How about this GM car? They're planning to make next year. No steering wheel, no pedals.
That's level 5.
That's terrifying.
That's
when you get to level 5.
It's probably not illegal. It's probably not legal in most states.
Not legal in California. By the way, Lyft. Did anybody else? I took a Lyft ride in an autonomous car.
Now they have a safety driver, but did he touch? He didn't touch anything, right? He just
my safety driver did touch. What happened is we were turning back into the parking lot, and there was a steady flow of traffic that was just unending. And finally, some nice guy in traffic waved us on, but the car couldn't respond, but the driver saw it. Said, I'm taking over. He grabbed the wheel and drove into the parking. Other than that, we survived a pedestrian walking in front of us. We survived a couple of cars cutting us off.
This underscores the real problem with self-driving vehicles: humans.
Yep.
Yeah.
If everything were self-driving, you wouldn't have had to wait at all. A car would have stopped, said go. Right. You would have gone. Right.
But then those jaywalkers walk out in front of your self-driving car.
Those humans.
You got to imagine it's only a matter of time before the cars can sense that stuff, though. Too. I mean, the cars, they've got them programmed so they can handle 4-way stops, which is really the hardest thing.
Can't they just use infrared to do that? Just so you can see if God forbid, a cat jumps out in front of the car or something. Like use a little infrared to see the heat.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. Leo, you drive. You use autopilot, right?
I use autopilot all the time, but I am always cautious not to let my attention from the road waver or my hands go off the wheel, because from time to time you need to intervene.
It's very windy.
And one of the problems with not paying attention is there is a few seconds it takes to readjust. Like, what's going on? What's the problem? And by then you could be dead. So
you use to change lanes. I mean, that's the part that blew me around. You can actually change lanes.
Yes, and it does a good job.
Faster than humans can. Yeah.
But believe me, I still look over my shoulder before I let it do that. And it's anecdotal. I feel like there's times when it's taken chances I wouldn't have taken.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
it's funny. It should be the other way around. You would expect it to be more conservative. That's what I noticed about it is when I flipped that lever to change lanes, it did it much faster than I ever would have done it.
Yes.
And presumably because it had better vision than I do.
Well, it doesn't have the blind spot that humans do because we have to turn.
I wouldn't presume that. I think Tesla's actually being a little over aggressive. I don't think that the sensors are as good as they think they are. And I think that it could easily veer into a car because it doesn't see it.
I mean, the data says that the even as many miles as have been driven by self-driving cars, they're far safer than humans. 90% of all auto accidents are caused by humans.
Humans are terrible drivers.
They are. At the show, NVIDIA, they made their announcement with Volkswagen, the largest automaker in the world, that Volkswagen is using NVIDIA's technology because they really are some of the brains, the machine learning behind a lot of the self-driving cars, that they're putting it across their entire product line. They didn't say when or give a timeline, but the posit was what the idea that they posited at the show. And the NVIDIA CEO said that the cool thing isn't that they drive themselves, it's that they're going to save a lot of lives. And at the show, Intel's CEO said that they expect that they'll save 1.2 million lives a year from auto accidents.
That's how many people die in auto accidents. But
yeah,
I know, I can't wait to get this. Although it's a living room.
Wow.
It's a microbus.
Oh my gosh, that's like my dream camper.
Yeah, me too. I want this car. I want this car so badly. Wow. But we don't know when Volkswagen's doing it.
It actually looks like the old Volkswagen buses that we had in the 60s.
Yeah.
Right. They're appealing to us, Larry.
They're attractive.
Yeah, you and me, right? We're their customers.
However, I have to point out that, yes, 1.2 million lives will be saved, but the day the first person dies because a self-driving car drove them into a wall.
Big headline news. Yeah.
It's going to be exactly. This is the point that I made to some of the people who are doing insurance. So one of the tours I gave was some people who do insurance, and this is like their big question. And I was like, the thing is, these are going to save a lot of lives. 90% of all auto accidents are caused by humans. There's 1.3 million. They think that 1.2 million of them can be saved. I said, but the thing is it's a PR nightmare waiting to happen, right? Because the first time one of these cars runs a person over and kills somebody,
or the first time it gets hacked.
Yeah.
By a malicious person trying to literally, I mean, maybe my brain went too far, but
the guy who runs the Toyota Research Institute likes to talk about that. He says that we have a lot more tolerance for humans than we will with machines. That we've come to accept the fact that a certain percentage of our cars are going to crash. We will have no tolerance for a machine making a mistake, but machines will make mistakes. There will be, far fewer of them. There'll be far fewer of them, but there will be people dying in automated cars, and I think as a society, we're going to have to accept some risk, and that's going to be a hard thing to deal with, but we're going to have to.
The humans have to accept the risk.
It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Definitely.
How nice my jacket.
Actually, I was really enjoying your vest.
Very. I like the sweater, actually.
Yeah, the sweater.
Okay, can I just make a suggestion? And this is for your husband.
Okay.
Bombfell.
Oh.
Time for a break. We'll come back with more. Bombfell, our sponsor. They've been a sponsor for some time, and I have been clothed by Bombfell for some time. Handpicked by a stylist to match your style. It's an online personal styling service for men that helps find the right clothes for you. And I have to say, I have really loved the Bombfell experience. You go in, you take a quiz, so they know, for instance, I said, look, I don't want hipster clothes. I'm not going to wear a backward baseball cap no matter how much you say it will improve my appearance. So you answer questions like, what's your personal style? And that's one way that they cover the, I'm sure your husband's quite, much more of a, fancy dresser than I am. No?
He's a metalhead.
He's a metalhead. Perfect. You know what? Let's get started. Let's ask some questions. You choose your situation. Seeking advice, too busy to shop. Stepping up my look, helping my partner. That's for you, Flo. Helping my partner. Is he oval, rectangle, or trapezoid?
Ooh, that's good. I don't know if I want to answer
I'm
that
oval.
question.
I'll admit it. I'm oval. Oval.
Trapezoid.
Trapezoid. Ooh, you got a hunk. Broad-shouldered, narrow waist. What's his skin tone?
Pale as me.
Pale. All right. We've. How tall are you? I got to answer that one. Let's. Is he 5'10", 6, less? How short is he? Okay. And how much does he weigh? Let's say he's 150, 60. Little less? Oh, he's a skinny little thing. All right. Let's now you get to choose. But see, it covers everybody. I mean, this is what's nice about this. His shirt
he's
size.
a good example for this.
Yeah, he's probably a medium or a small. All right. Yep. By the way, the touch screen is great. 30, 29? 30. We're going to get some nice clothes for your husband.
A skinny guy.
30. Probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Do you like now, this is important because I don't like tailored shirts.
Really?
Yeah, well, they don't look good to me, but I bet your husband they look great on. Yeah, so let's get
slim,
trim, and he likes, and I wear relaxed, but he'd probably wear trim, right? Yeah, see, this is it. Casual, classic, preppy, or modern. He's a metalhead. We're gonna go modern, baby.
Oh, I love that outfit.
And let's go red. What would you never wear? Pink. He'd never wear pink.
Yeah, no, he wear pink.
Plaid.
Stripes?
Yeah,
Plaid.
stripes.
He won't with that
Yeah.
stripes. He'd wear plaid though. Metalheads
that's
wear
his work
plaid.
outfits.
That's his work outfit. And they ask you about brands now this is not necessarily brands you're going to get. It might be, but it gives them an idea of frankly, by saying, oh yeah, I'm an American Apparel and a Diesel person, for instance, that's very different than Tommy Bahama and J. Crew, right? You know that, right?
True.
So this isn't really for him. We could choose your budget. You choose, what kinds of clothes you'd want. I said I want more jackets. That's why I got this beautiful jacket. Once you sign up online, you complete the questionnaire. You're matched. Now that's not the end of it. You're matched with a human, a personal stylist who literally handpicks every piece. So, and you can actually talk to her. She's going to email you a preview so you never get anything you don't want. You look at your preview, 48 hours to choose, cancel. You can actually cancel the whole thing. You say, nah, you didn't get anything. You're in total control. Then they'll ship you the clothes. At that point, you still have a week to go through them, try them on. This is the fun part. And he can do this with you. What do you think, honey? I did this with Lisa. Yeah. What do you think? You get 7 days. Anything you don't want, you put back in the box. It's free shipping both directions. You only pay. This is the first time you pay. You pay for what you keep, period. We do it for Michael, our 15-year-old. It's awesome. You receive clothes. I think we do him every 3 months. You can do 1, 2, or 3 months. Pause or cancel at any time. You don't ever get clothes you don't want. It goes right to your door, so you don't have to go to the store. I like that. Goes to your door, not to the store. Go to the door, not to the store. We have a special offer just for you. Bombfell is the bomb. I really, really, really love these. $25 off your first purchase. So, your first shirt free. Bombfell.com/twit. BOMBFELL.com/twit. $25 off your first purchase if you go to that URL and begin the process. It completely remade my look. Completely remade my look. Because I was one of those geeks, wears a lot of T-shirts and jeans and stuff. This I feel much more dapper. Thank you, Bombfell.
You look very dapper, Leo.
Thank you. I owe it all to Bombfell. Hey, we had a fun week. We did a lot of CES coverage. And just to reassure people who say, well, I want more CES, watch this video. Lots of stuff.
Previously on Twit.
This is from CES. Kohler announced Kohler Connect. Hey, device, flush.
Toilet. Sit down, Bob.
This is the future, Leo, and it's coming soon.
I already saw the future. Ever been in an airport bathroom where none of the hand-activated devices work? You can't turn on a faucet. You can't get soap. You can't get towels. Nothing works.
Know-how.
If you've watched any CES coverage this year, you probably already know about LG's foldable screen, HP's big monitor, and the newest from the large manufacturers in home theater and consumer electronics.
Oh, I want that big 65-inch.
I want to show you some of the vendors
screen.
who aren't getting
awesome.
a lot of press. The companies who have great technologies, but small marketing budgets. The tinkerers and inventors who put some of the crazy into CES.
The new screensavers.
We're going to talk with the CEO of What 3 Words? .com.
Our idea was if we just use words from the dictionary, like table, chair, spoon, and so on, and we just name every 10 foot by 10 foot square in the world, you literally cover from the top of Alaska down to the bottom of New Zealand, and there's enough.
Tech News Weekly.
It's time for the annual Great American Twit Switch.
Wait a minute, we're doing this again?
We're doing it again. This feels good in the hand.
Yeah, it does. I know, and this is feels very breakable in the hand.
It is. I also have 10 iPhone 10 cases for you.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to use all of these.
Twit, now also available in several colors of unapologetic plastic.
Are you, that was a Google line, I think. Are you worried now that Jason Howell, your co-host on All About Android, might fall in love with the iPhone 10?
6 weeks. They're doing 6 weeks this
They
time.
did a month last time. 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 weeks. When Ron and I found out, we gave him an earful, but it's okay.
Did he give her a Pixel 2 XL?
I believe so.
See, that camera,
Yeah.
that's the best camera out. There's
I know.
no better camera.
I think Megan's the one who's not going to want to
Actually,
go
there
back.
might be. Because I have to say, having a fingerprint reader, I carry both, but having a fingerprint reader kind of is much better than face recognition.
Yeah, I agree.
Face
It's so
recognition
much
works
easier.
great if you're not, it's just walking around.
The only time I don't like the fingerprint reader is when I have my phone in the car because it's up against the dashboard.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's the only time other than
Does
that.
your
How do you like
face
my,
recognition work if your phone is over to your right?
Yeah, I have the iPhone 10. I put that in the car. It works pretty well.
Okay.
I actually think Apple did a very good job on face recognition, but I, for one, like Android better. I'm more of an Android kind of guy.
Android has a great feature that if you get in the car, you pair it to your
Smart
Bluetooth,
lock.
it's always unlocked if you turn that on.
Well, you know what's also cool? I don't know how it does it, but when I get in my car, this new Anchor thing that we were talking about earlier, it automatically starts the app. It knows I'm in the car, and the app starts, and I'm off to the races. I don't have to.
That's another thing Android could do that the iPhone will never do, because Apple will never let a third-party app start another app. That's just not going to.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it with a URL scheme. Yeah. I mean, there's a trade-off. I don't want to go back to CES, but
I don't either.
We did see the video, and I kind of want to show this. This is the 65-inch gaming display from NVIDIA.
Oh, yeah, right. I saw that.
That's got to be bad for your eyes.
That's going to be in a lot of college dorms.
Oh, you're right, because it's a TV too, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be one kid in every dorm who's going to have this, the rich kid, naturally.
Yeah. And everybody want to come over to his
they'll start charging them
place
to come in and play.
Yeah.
Whatever it is the kids play these days.
You know, this is the one your mom says, sit back, you're too close, you'll ruin your eyes.
I got yelled at about that a lot as a kid.
And do you wear glasses?
Nope.
See? Mom, you were wrong. It's got an NVIDIA Shield built in, which is a good gaming device.
Oh, yeah.
All right, enough. No more. I'm sorry. Sorry. I shouldn't have brought up CES. I'm sorry. Let's quickly give the Spectre Meltdown update. Did you, was Intel at least a little chagrined at CES?
Slightly. Hardly. I think it was mentioned in the keynote very briefly.
Brian Krzanich say anything?
A little bit. I can't remember what. But
did he say I'm sorry? Probably said, AMD. It's happening to AMD too.
Right.
AMD's got a 2.
He did. He said, if this is this problem that has happened to all processors, and we're really amazed at the amount of cooperation we've seen across the whole industry.
But will it slow down our PCs?
And this has not affected one, business that we know of that has been compromised yet. So yeah, that was the message.
I think it is a hard thing to take advantage of. It's a hard exploit because you have to be a very good programmer to write it. Somebody will write it, and script kiddies will get it though. B, the data you get back, you don't get to choose. So it's just kind of a random dump of cached data. So it's not the kind of thing you would want to send out to a million machines. You just get a bunch of stuff and you have to sift through it. But if I were targeting Florence, for instance, I would try to get it on all your devices because I would know what I'm looking for, right? I'd be looking for your email address and then whatever followed it as a password.
He wants all my contacts.
I would, yeah. So I think it's a great exploit for the NSA, and for all we know, they've been using it. It's been around for 20 years. Yeah. Because if you're targeting somebody, that's where it's really going to be useful. I don't think people need to go crazy. One thing, though, I guess, what do you say? Should you patch? Knowing
you have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a choice. Well, you don't on Windows. You have to you can defer it, but you can't defer it forever on Windows 10. But knowing that it's going to slow down your machine, and then some machines, Intel says Haswell or earlier. That's only a few years ago. I have a lot of Haswell stuff. It's going to have big slowdowns. Even the newer processors. I just bought an iMac Pro. It's going to be slower all of a sudden because of the mitigation. Ultimately, all the processor manufacturers say we'll only really be able to fix this with new processors without hitting performance.
For a lot of people.
Paul Thurrott was pointing that on Windows Weekly. It's going to be a boon for the PC industry in 6 months.
Out of necessity.
Yeah, everybody's upgrading their machines.
This is kind of like the Apple, the Apple thing where they're, accused of slowing down the iPhones because they're going to sell more computers. Or more iPhones. Now, is Intel going to sell more processors because of this bug?
Right. Well, not today, because even if you get an 8th generation Intel processor, it's still got the problem. So it's funny because there's 2 messages coming out. I've done it to all my machines. I don't notice a difference. I mean, I imagine you have all 2 on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Don't notice a difference.
I assume I'm updated. I better not do that because I'll crash.
Don't assume. That's another problem, especially on Windows. They had to stop it because AMD processors are causing blue screens. Your antivirus can stop it if your antivirus doesn't get updated. Or worse, this is really annoying. After the antivirus updates, Microsoft says, oh, and by the way, antivirus publishers, please set a key in Windows registry that we will check to let us know so we can do the update. you won't know as an end user if that's been done. So you may have a patched antivirus, but they didn't set the registry key. There's also BIOS updates that have to happen, at least in every case I know of. Not everybody will get BIOS updates. And more than, I would say, 80% of all the Android phones are never going to get an update for this.
No.
That's why you're a particularly good target, because anybody who uses Android phones is much more likely to have this problem.
Well, I hope that Google protects me, considering I went out and I bought the Pixel.
I think it is in the January update. If you get the January security fix, I think it's in that.
But everybody else on those other third-party phones are going to have to worry about this sort of thing. And low-cost
will our phones run slower too? Are
sorry?
phones going to run any slow?
Yes, every processor will, because the fix essentially disables speculative execution or means that the cache, this is mostly what they're doing, they're flushing the cache whenever you do a switch from user land to kernel operations. So where you really see a hit is if you're doing a lot of disk writes or reads, anything that the operating system does. If you do a lot of so I think people use Photoshop and video editors, they may suffer more. And you need more speed, and you're going to get less speed.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We're starting to see a trickle of benchmarks that don't look good, frankly. And the worst benchmark was from Epic Games. They patched, and of course, these are the people who have to patch their servers or shared processors. So they're Epic Games servers that are running Fortnite. They showed let me get the picture, because it's actually a very scary graph that they sent out. This is before and this is before and after. So what you're looking at is a CPU utilization. This is on their Epic Games servers. They rolled out the firmware update. You could see right here. The bottom line is unmitigated processor performance. The top line is mitigated processor performance. CPU utilization went from 15% to 45%, 3 times more CPU utilization after the fix.
Does that mean more energy? Does that mean our laptops aren't going to run long?
More energy, slower, everything.
Killers.
Batteries will be worse. Now, this is a worst-case scenario, I'm thinking, but still, this is not good.
I also have to hope they're going to improve it over time. That this is like a quick fix, and the hope is that they're going to really improve the performance. They're going to keep at it and make this better and stronger. That's the hope. But like you said, it's going to be rough going at first, especially if you have a machine that's older than 2 or 3 years old.
Yep.
A lot of people don't even, I would assume that a lot of consumers don't know this is happening with their laptops, because we're talking about laptops that people have purchased from Best Buy and from Costco and from Target, and they're not watching this show and going, oh, I need to update. And so I'm trying to think how to properly tell people about this unfortunate.
The tools that are out there to tell if your machine is patched are really geeky.
That's the problem.
Microsoft put out a PowerShell script.
My mom's not going to use that for her little pink Sony.
I mean, my listeners and readers are not the most tech savvy people in the world. I mean, that's, to explain it to them is going to be, I haven't done it yet. I mean, I'm waiting for an explanation that I can say in a 50-second radio segment.
I'm also kind of thinking that maybe the right advice for you on your radio show, me on my radio show, is to, dare I say it, this is heresy, to say don't patch.
Well, a lot of people, I've told people to turn patches on automatically. That's always been my advice. Too. Yeah.
It's always the best advice, patch. But I don't think this is, I don't know. Talk me off the ledge here, because maybe
don't patch and stay off the dark web.
Well, the problem is,
you're not going. I don't think this is going to be a widespread exploit. I really don't. Now, I'll be proven wrong if a few months if I'm But I feel like this is such a hard thing to do. It's such a targeted attack. It's such a use. It doesn't let you take over machines. It doesn't give you root access. It doesn't do all the things that hackers really want to do.
I think you'd have to really target someone, and you'd have to do it over a long period of time, like you said, over multiple devices.
Yeah,
you'd have to with the idea that you have specific data that you're trying to get at.
Somebody has to really want to come after you.
And if the cost is your speed is seriously degraded,
right?
But at the same time, you made an excellent point, Larry. I don't think you can defer Windows 10 patches, but you can't put them off forever. Apple users really won't have a chance because Apple's just pushing it out. Actually, Microsoft did the same thing. The first fixes went out right away. So
my machine's probably updated. I mean, it just gets updated automatically, I would imagine.
Same.
I haven't noticed the degradation
every
in
Tuesday.
performance.
Well, but in almost every case on PCs anyway, you needed a BIOS update as well. Now,
and that you'd probably have to initiate yourself.
No,
right?
modern machines will do that with firmware upgrades. Like all the Microsoft machines do that as part of a Windows update process. On my Lenovo's, you had to run the Lenovo update, and it would say, yes, we're going to do a firmware update now, but it would do it without the old school thing where you had to shut down, boot a DOS disk and all that stuff. It doesn't do that.
Oh, I kind of miss those days. They made me
I
feel
once had
so...
a Dell machine literally destroy itself during a BIOS upgrade. I could actually hear it fizzle. And then I called Dell and said,
that's
out of warranty.
the
Sorry.
fun stuff.
Good luck.
Wow. All right. Moving along, James Damore, the guy who wrote the Google memo last year that said, should we really be hiring women?
Women are inferior to men in all ways.
No, women are great. They're great socializing, talking to people. They're just not great in the computer world.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't belong here whatsoever.
He's filing a class action lawsuit saying Google discriminates against white male conservatives.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me?
Nope.
I roll.
Nothing more to say here.
It's like the war on Christmas.
Yeah, nothing more to say other than I roll.
I roll. Moving right along. Actually, one of the huge story, Facebook this week announced, and they hurt their stock, 4.5% drop in stock.
Let's see.
Mark Zuckerberg said, and I think this must have come as a kind of a revelation to a lot of Facebook users who assumed that the whole point of using Facebook was following friends and family and seeing what they're up to. He said,
social media.
We're going to make sure the news feed is about your friends and family instead of news publications. And it turns out, and I don't know how true this story is, but BuzzFeed had the story that in 2013, Facebook panicked. They were so worried about Twitter. 4 years ago, they were so worried about Twitter that they decided to put more news, because that's what people were getting from Twitter, right?
Right.
Yep.
Put more news in the news feed. And I saw another story that said for the last 2 years, engagement in the news feed has been going down. I did not know this. I assumed it was going up, that Facebook had all the knobs and dials tuned in. They're monitoring everything you do. Shouldn't engagement be going up?
It's going down because nobody wants to go on Facebook and see all the news that's scaring them in their feed, and B, I imagine it's also because they don't want to see people's political opinions.
I think politics.
That's why I stayed off Facebook.
And I think clearly this is Facebook reacting to the accusations of the 2016 election.
Well, here's what I've noticed on Facebook. When I post something like a link to one of my articles or radio segments, I'll get a little bit of interaction. When I post something that's very personal and very kind of humanistic, I'll get a huge reaction.
Yep.
And so I think, I mean, it's just, and at first I thought, well, maybe it's an algorithm that's causing that. And then I realized my friends actually don't care that much about what I write in terms of as a journalist. There's other ways they can find that. They care about me as a person, which is actually kind of a cool thing if this is indeed a social network. I mean, and so they're putting the social back in a social network.
It was. So, when I was in college, when I started using Facebook, it was about connecting with other college kids. I didn't live on campus. It was a much better way to meet people. And then later on, it became as a way to stay in touch with people. And I started to stay in touch with my family overseas. But after the election, it was the algorithm. It got so noisy and so hard to just get. I just want to see what my cousin's up to.
That's
why I
why
think it's a Back to the Future move. I really do think it's
I thought
everybody back to its roots.
I figure everybody just thought, well, isn't that what Facebook does?
That's what it was supposed to be for. And Twitter is for my job, and Facebook is for after work. That's how it was in my life.
Most people, according to the Guardian's news feeds, are dominated by professionally made content from brands, businesses, and the news media.
Right.
Facebook wants to change that balance, so your feed will be dominated by posts from friends, family, and Facebook groups you're a member of. So the change is coming. I don't know if it's in effect.
Maybe I'll come back.
Freaked out a lot of media people and a lot of advertisers.
It's freaked everybody in media out because so many publications and television channels and others said, and I didn't do this because I never trusted Facebook, said, oh, this is the future. All our engagement, all our traffic is going to come from Facebook. And they went all in on Facebook. And now with one stroke of the pen, I don't think Mark uses a pen, but whatever, with one stroke of the sword, Mark's cutting them off.
The stylus. One stroke of the stylus.
Maybe he's using an Apple Pencil.
But we've known, as a publisher, we've known this is coming for a while.
Have you?
They've kind of been slowly doing this throughout 2017.
Okay.
They've been cutting back more and more, actually, for a couple years. But this is going to hurt their business big time. So I don't know. I don't know what this will mean for the future of Facebook or where it's going to go, because they have gotten a lot of money, because businesses and brands, they started doing this maybe 2 to 3 years ago and saying, look, we're, all this stuff where people are talking about products and you are a product, a brand promoting your thing. You're going to have to pay if you want to if you want to promote your stuff. And so that's why their stock price and their revenue has been going through the roof, because they got everybody hooked on it. They got brands hooked on it. And then they said, oh, well, Facebook's about friends and family and photos and people whining. It's not about, brands. And so if you want to be on there, you got to pay. And
Jason, I think in the long run, it's gonna be to their advantage. I mean, it's just like commercial television or radio. If you overplay, if you put too many commercials, if they're too long, if they're too annoying, people tune out. And there is a balance. I mean, Leo, you do a good job on this show about how you balance your content and your commercial to the point where you don't, annoy people. And I think that that's the same thing at Facebook. If you have to find a way to serve people and serve your advertisers, but in a way that doesn't get to alienate your users, because if you got more users, the advertisers will come. You'll still provide value to them.
It always amazes me, Larry, that anybody listens to us on AM radio, where most AM stations do the maximum ads the FCC allows, which I think is 19 minutes out of the hour. So almost 1/3 of the time you're in ads, and they do long ad breaks,
right?
And I don't know why anybody listens to us on AM radio, but I guess people, I don't know. I feel like that's a doomed model too, don't you?
But if they do it too much, I mean, for example, have you ever had? I mean, CBS used to do it. You'd have a 30-second piece of editorial and a 30-second commercial. They don't do it anymore. But it got to the point where when you overwhelm somebody with so much commercial messaging that it's longer than the editorial, people will tune out. And so good publishers like CBS have figured out a proper balance between advertising and content.
So if Facebook's engagement's been going down for 2 years, what took them so long? I mean, honestly.
Well, I think they've been working on it. This is more like PR. I think the Zuckerberg thing, honestly, because they've been working on this for a while. They've been doing this for a while, and we've seen our engagement just from a brand publishing things on Facebook, not buying ads, but we've seen our engagement going down. They're putting us in the news feed less and less and less throughout 2017.
Instagram is the new way to do it now. Now you got to engage through Instagram, have a nice curated feed, and use tags. I feel like that's the new way of...
For brands?
Yeah, I feel like that's the new way.
Instagram ads have by far the highest engagement of any social media platform.
They've stepped up the volume. It was 1 in 10 posts. It's now 1 in 6 posts. I know because I counted the other day. I thought I'm seeing a lot of ads.
Yeah, I see way more ads on Instagram now.
And then
people click them though. They're click rate.
I do. I buy a lot of crap from Instagram
is
ads.
a marketplace now.
That's
and I'm wondering why
off my
Facebook
phone.
isn't putting more into building out Instagram, since I feel like everybody's gravitate over there because it's maybe a little more curated, maybe a little quieter. Maybe you can find communities without actually having, you don't have to get like super embedded into them. You can just kind of watch from the side, which maybe people are feeling more of that in this current political climate. You kind of just want to watch from the side.
I think Instagram's got a big problem though with ads they don't get compensated for. There are the biggest Instagrammers are constantly flogging stuff, often in violation of FTC rules, because you're supposed to say this is an ad. But every time you see somebody with my new sport body thinning tee, or...
It's called Fit Tea, Leo.
You see?
It's called Fit Tea.
You see? I didn't want to give him a plug.
Sorry. This is not an ad for Fit Tea whatsoever.
I was talking about this with my kids who are big Instagram users. And they know all the... I mean, there are women on Instagram with 14, 15, 20 million followers that you don't know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
You never heard of them, but everybody knows, and they are advertising stuff like every post, and they're making big bucks.
Yep.
And Instagram and Facebook get no revenue from that, I presume.
Yeah, they'll clean that up.
They gotta do
I'm
something
sure
about
that. they'll have to clean that up. But I think to Larry's point, I think to what Larry's getting at was eventually you have to run fewer ads, but because those ads, there are fewer of them, they're worth more, right? You have to pay more to get them is the assumption.
And smarter ads too.
Yeah, so that's Facebook's challenge. Facebook is a self-serve ad platform right now that brands pour tons of money, and that's why the revenue has gone up so high and so quickly. But this will change their business model fundamentally, right? Because it's not going to be all that. They're not going to be able to do that volume if they do what they're talking about. So this is me being a little skeptical of it. At the same time, saying they've been working on this for a while, but wondering because I know Facebook is essentially the over 40 social network, right? Like it is. They have a real problem with under 40, and so they've got a number of things that are coagulating here that are challenges for Facebook, and so it's going to be interesting to watch how it unfolds.
Who's famous on Instagram that you follow that I've never heard of? Anybody?
Yes, I follow some makeup chicks because
makeup
they have really
chicks.
Cool.
There are a bunch of makeup chicks on there.
There are. Well, I mean, they have very cool.
Her words,
Nikki
not mine,
Tutorials
folks.
is one. She started on YouTube, but they'll put little tutorials on Instagram, so you can just
My son was talking about somebody who they were debating whether she had ribs taken out or not. So, I know. And then he said, well, look. And I said, oh, that doesn't look right. So maybe.
There's another girl. She just puts bread on her face.
Bread on her face?
Bread on her face. And people watch that?
Yes.
Bread on the face.
It's
butter,
really...
I can see. Bread?
No, she'll put her face on bread.
My favorite Instagram account is number 8, Kylie Jenner. Do you know him?
She still hasn't revealed her pregnancy on there, but anyway.
Oh, it's a girl? Okay.
Yeah, she's part of the Kardashian clan.
Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Beyonce.
Millennials. And Beyonce,
Kim
who's not.
Kardashian, Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift is the number one human on Instagram. Yeah. But let me see the date on this. No, see, this is old. See, that's the other thing. This it's all changed now. See, this is old.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite accounts on Instagram are our commercial accounts, or like the Sony Alpha. So because I shoot Sony cameras, Sony Alpha has an amazing.
I follow that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Beautiful Destinations. Anybody follow that one? That one has incredible photography from places all around the world. You're just like, oh, I want to go there. Oh,
also Costco.
Selena Gomez has 117 million followers. Is that even possible on Instagram?
A lot of millennials in the world.
Who are these people? 107. Ariana Grande, 103 million. Okay, musicians. Taylor's down. This is the newest stuff. She's
Beyonce,
only 100 million. Beyonce, 99.7. Kim Kardashian, 98.1. Soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo, 97.8. This is mind-boggling. These numbers are mind-boggling.
Really?
Oh, that's Kylie Jenner. I guess she is a girl. 91.8. See, I don't follow this stuff. There's Bieber.
Well, who's this guy? Oh, Bieber. Huh?
Bieber. The Rock. Can you smell what The Rock is sweating? I can't. Woo. He's going to run for president.
That many followers, he might win.
You think it'll be Oprah versus The Rock in 2020?
God, I can't. Okay.
Never know.
If it is, then we've come to the end times.
I
really
agree.
Anyway.
Instagram's for millennials, as you said.
Wanted to plug
Facebook
my friend John Kalish's excellent article in PC Magazine, Why Amazon's Echo is Life-Changing for the Blind.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
I'm sure it is.
Good story. Highly recommend it.
Also for people aging in place, right? Because it's an interface.
Wait a minute. What's that a euphemism for? Aging in place?
Staying at home and not going in a nursing home.
Oh, I get it.
I
thought you were talking about me.
By the time you combine Amazon by the time you put the Echo with robots that can actually bring you your tea,
it's huge.
Yeah,
Echo, bring me a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But I imagine that's so much better for people in the long run because when you become elderly and maybe you in a position where you're not as independent as you used to be, I imagine being able to stay at home and to have all the same things that you love about life just like surrounding you, and to be able to sort of maintain that routine. That's a better quality life than maybe moving into a giant like home where you have to live with people you don't like.
And when you have to go somewhere, get into your self-driving car or have a self-driving Uber come to your house.
Exactly. And you can still go to the grocery store and pick through the different like coffee brands, and you can do that for the rest of your life.
Hey, speaking of brands, I want to talk about this wild story.
Yes.
You were talking about Instagram ads. This is from The Atlantic. We'll talk about this in just a second. The strange brands in your Instagram feed and how you too can make thousands at home. What is it? Aging in place?
That could be the theme of the show.
Making money on Instagram. I definitely am aging in place. I haven't moved in
2 hours, 3 hours.
2 hours. Yeah, we want to wrap this up. But first,
you're well dressed, Leo. You're well dressed.
I am well dressed. First, a word from.
I mean, I would age in place if I was dressed like that too.
First, a word from Texture. When I travel, I have to say, Texture is a boon. I put it on my iPad. It is basically Netflix for magazines. There's still great magazines being created. They're not. Well, I guess I was going to say they're not PC magazines, but there's Wired, right?
PC World is on there.
PC World, Popular Science, Macworld. Actually, I take it back. And I'll tell you, the best way to read a magazine is not in paper for several reasons. It's on your iPad. I'll give you a bunch of reasons. Photography, you love photography, Shutterbug, National Geographic. When you're looking on the iPad, you're seeing the picture as it was intended, as it was shot. You can zoom in on it. You see the details. You don't get that weird screened picture in the print edition. And by the way, let's call it what it is, the Dead Trees edition. Yeah. You're saving the world by using Texture, and you're saving your coffee table. Because I'm guarantee you, if you subscribe or even buy magazines, your coffee table is groaning. It's groaning under the weight of all those magazines you didn't read anyway. Part of it's magazine guilt. I used to subscribe to the New Yorker every week, and I'd have this feeling like, well, I got to read the old one before I read the new one, and the pile would get taller and taller. Now I dip in and I dip out. I get magazines I would never subscribe to, but I love reading Billboard. You're not going to subscribe to Billboard, but don't you want to know what's number one?
People magazine.
People. I don't confess to reading it.
I do.
But if I were, I could read it on my Texture app. They have a Condé Nast Traveler, a lot of great travel magazines. It's great for dreaming. Do you like housing? They have Dwell and House. I love those. I love those, but I would never admit it. But I love those. So here's the deal. Go right now to Texture, texture.com/twit. You could try it free. You're going to get hooked. But then the best part is we have a special offer. We can actually sell it to you. You can subscribe for less than the going rate, 30% less than the going rate, $9.99 a month. Now, really, 200-plus magazines, Rolling Stone, Adweek, Atlantic, The New Yorker, The National Geographic, Wired, $9.99 a month. That's less than subscribing to a couple of magazines, a lot less than buying them on the newsstand. And you don't have the guilt, the Dead Tree guilt. Texture.com/twit. I'm telling you, it is the #1 app for any phone, any tablet. You got to have Texture. This article, Alexis Madrigal, I love you, Alexis Madrigal, in The Atlantic, opened a lot of eyes for me. That doesn't sound right. It opened my eyes. Anyway, not a lot of eyes.
A lot of eyes.
A couple of eyes. So Alexis bought a nice coat. The West Lewis looks good too, doesn't it? Businessman, windproof long coat. Ooh. He says it looked like a decent camel coat. Not fancy, but fine. Price was under $100, so I figured, hey, a deal. He ordered it. He got it. Several weeks later, the coat showed up in a black plastic bag emblazoned with the markings of China Post. That's from China. I tore it open, pulled out the coat. The material has the softness of a Las Vegas carpet.
I can tell you all about that.
You know what that means.
Wow.
And the rich sheen of a velour jumpsuit. The fabric is so synthetic it probably could be refined into bunker fuel for a ship. It was, technically, the item I ordered, only shabbier in every aspect. What he found out is there is no West Lewis. This is the latest thing now. He tracked down no less than 15 shops selling exactly the same item. The Cutting Edge Life was the one he went to, but he could have gotten it from Gonthwind, Zuije, Romwe, Hype Clothing, Man Vestment, Lede Picasa, Kofavee. Yes, Kovfee, Kofavee. Each very lightly brands the sweatshirt as its own, but features identical pictures of mustachio tattooed model. So what it is, it's and then he finds a video. This is an Irish kid named 17-year-old named Roy Gannon on YouTube. What's up, everybody? He says.
Everybody?
What's up, everybody? He shows you. He says, I'm going to take a brand new Shopify store to over $1,000. And he tells you literally step by step everything to do. You never own any merchandise. You have automated tools from Shopify that go out to Alibaba shops, order the drop shipped to your customer. They even do all sorts of tricky things in the Instagram feed once you click the link. And now I'm really thinking twice about, because all of a sudden you'll see this on Instagram or Facebook too. It's the product categories that show up. Read this article, brilliant article from Alexis Madrigal about how these shops are cobbled together. They are not. He decided to make a Lion store, give away a Lion bracelet. He says, I'm going with a Lion store for two reasons. There are Instagram influencers I can tap into, and I can scale the store with Facebook ads. Plus, there's a lot of free Lion content out there that you can paste in. He calls the store Lion's Jewel, pulls in some Lion pictures, copies and pastes Shopify's default privacy return policy boilerplate, and he's up and running. He's got an empty store. You can actually watch this video, walk all the way through it. There's an app on Shopify called Oberlo, which actually lets you automatically pull products directly from Alibaba, AliExpress.
Interesting.
So it's automatic. He has all sorts of tricks, all sorts of little Shopify extensions. The only reason he didn't get to $1,000 is because so many people were copying this that all of a sudden there was an epidemic of Lion bracelets and Lion stores on Instagram.
It created quite a demand.
And they were all competing with him. So Buzz Sumo, which it lets you look up the most popular Lion content.
Okay.
It's all automated. It's all automatic, and basically you can be a 17-year-old Irish kid and have so be careful what you order these days.
I have fallen victim to this, but I started falling victim to this as early as 2012.
Yeah.
When Amazon would sort of surface these unknown brands when I was looking for
Amazon,
clothing.
you have to be really careful.
You do. Just
really
as careful as you have to be now on AliExpress, quite honestly. It's the same shopping experience. It's just the brands are maybe slightly different.
Yeah, a lot of people are using Amazon's fulfillment, but they don't.
Same as Wish.com as well. If you order anything from the Wish app, like that's all cheap stuff that's just bought en masse from AliExpress.
I ordered some coffee on Amazon, and for some reason I got the wrong stuff. I got flavored coffee that I can't stand, and it said it's not returnable. It's the first time I ever tried to return something on Amazon. It won't let me send it back.
I feel like Amazon's gone way downhill. And now the other problem is they're using these unmarked Amazon logistics drivers, which they basically hire like Uber. You go online, you go and they have, okay, we got these 20 packages. And now twice in a row in the last month, I've got a package hasn't arrived. Amazon says it was undeliverable. Same address that everything else gets delivered to, but it's Amazon Logistics.
Happening to me too.
It's an amateur driver. In their, it's like a Lyft or Uber driver. They're just, and they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. And I'm hearing more and more stories of stuff being thrown out the car.
Oh yes, my Ring doorbell sponsor.
Yeah,
saw a lot of throwing from UPS over the Christmas holiday. Thanks.
Oh, you got evidence now.
Wow.
I do have evidence.
That's the truth, though. That's what you have those video cameras. That's why you have the Ring doorbell. Well, I got video of you doing it. So the Irish kid put something on his Shopify account called Hurify that is a countdown clock saying we're running out. You only have a few seconds left.
Low demand.
He says it increases conversions 2 to 3%, but everything helps. He's got all of these little tricks.
But it makes so much sense. He's just using what every brand has ever used to sell things to people.
It's available to everybody now.
Yes, it's just available to everybody now. And you can buy this stuff for very cheap off AliExpress. $20 could net you maybe $100 if you managed.
He even automates the one thing that needs to be done by hand, the order fulfillment part. He hires digital workers on Upwork for $3, $4, $5 an hour. There are 275 open jobs listed for drop shifting, according to Madrigal, 200 for AliExpress specifically, 132 for Oberlo. So nothing. He does nothing. He literally doesn't even have to check the site.
He just has to throw some money towards the services that he's using to help him set all this up.
This is the world we live in.
Yep. This is the world we've built for our children. So,
but you know what's great is it's our children that know how to use these tools and are taking advantage of us.
True, but we gotta figure out how to make sure they don't run awry with all of these things, and so that's a new thing that parenting is gonna have to.
Couple more things I just got to talk about. A Wired article. I'm just talking about some of my favorite articles from the week. Wired, the strange history of one of the internet's first viral videos. Well, we've all seen this video. Remember this? And I thought it was a real video.
Remember
Badday.mpeg. The guy is having a hard time. He's banging. It's an IBM PC, right? And he hits it, nothing. So he gets up. Finally, I love the worker on the other cubicle popping up. You remember this? We showed it on the site in 1996.
Oh,
he hits it with a baseball bat with a keyboard.
Bad day.
Yeah, bad day.
Ooh,
so
he got in a fight before he left the house.
This was one of the very first viral videos. Went viral, I think, because of us on MSNBC in showing it in 1996. Yeah, in fact, this article says it was MSNBC. I think it was me.
Good job, Leo.
I think you can thank me.
The first viral video caused by Leo Laporte.
Not just the first viral video, the first fake video. It was fake.
It was staged.
Faux.
It was staged by a company that made security cameras. They put it on a CD. They distributed it at places like Comdex, but somehow it escaped and was distributed. This was before the internet was widely used.
Fishy.
A company called Robotics. They were developing DVR technology for security cameras. If you look at it closely, you can see it's staged. People are smiling. There's like little takeaways, but we didn't know in those days. They converted the video to MPEG-1.
We were so innocent back then. We were so innocent.
So fake news is not new.
We didn't know. E-Bombs World.
Oh, E-Bombs World.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
Lord.
E-Bombs World.
Man.
Memories.
Oh, E-Bombs World.
All right, I think we can wrap things up. I had okay, one more article. This is from the New Yorker. This one I loved also. Did you know that Stephen Colbert was responsible for an app that is now widely used by all the comedy news shows? He developed it when he was at... What? I know. I have new respect for Colbert. It's called Scripto. And they're dressed like Steve Jobs. Colbert and a writer at the Colbert Report, Rob Dubbin, dressed like Steve Jobs.
They look just like them. I love it.
Black turtlenecks and jeans, long hair. Bowl cut
and that with the hand gesture. Yeah.
Scripto. Everybody was using Google Docs because it was a shared writing environment, right? You were all working on the same script, and so they wrote an app, and it's been a huge success. And now all the left wing news shows use it. It's not used at Fox. All the left wing scripted comedy news shows. Samantha Bee, Full Frontal, Jordan Klepper. Robert
Fox still
D,
sends around
Jim
a
Jeffries.
Word doc through email to everyone.
Probably. They do say their biggest competitor is Google Docs. Fox News wouldn't use it, they say, but I wouldn't sell it to them even if they wanted to. They're all lefties. This is a great article in the New Yorker. Stephen Colbert and the app he built or helped build, Scripto.
Hey, that's great, though. That's the way we should be thinking about technology. We got to look at all these use cases and think, okay.
Jason, he's our colleague. He's a CBS guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Nice.
CBS.
Nice. It's paid exactly what you and I get, Jason. Same salary.
Right.
We all make the same amount of money.
Yep. Isn't that nice? Right. That's a union scale.
Right, exactly.
From CBS News Radio, the great Larry Magid. Thank you so much for being here, Larry. Always a pleasure. Thank you. ConnectSafely.org. We'll put in a plug for that great site that you do, kind of pro bono, to help kids be safer online. ConnectSafely.org. And, of course, listen for him on your local CBS station, including WBZ in Boston. No, you're across town in Boston.
We're in WBZ.
You're on BZ?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. KCBS, WCBS in New York, and your favorite CBS News affiliate, wherever they happen to be.
Yep. Jason Heiner, I love you, Jason, the guy who made me the president of the internet all these years ago and wrote a book that includes me, which I
Follow the Geeks.
Follow the Geeks. You can still get it. I don't know why I said that. You can get it on Amazon. And I use a Follow the Geeks canvas bag as a shopping bag.
Thank you.
I'm very proud
Love
of
to hear
that. Go to,
also on Audible, Follow the Geeks is on audiobook on Audible, read by yours truly.
Nice.
And Leo is chapter 9 in Follow the Geeks, and is also the sample. When you read Audible, it's Leo's chapter that is the sample for Twit fans.
But don't let that stop you from buying the great book by Jason and Lindsay Gilpin. Follow the Geeks, 10 Digital Innovators, The Future of Work. Really, really, really great book. A lot of fun to listen to. And yeah, definitely an Audible choice for sure. Thank you, Jason. Welcome back from CES.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And of course, Florence Ion, who will be back again in a couple of days.
Yep.
For All About Android. Always a thrill to see you. I'm sorry that you had to spend 8 days in Vegas.
You know what? It's fine. It has to. CES is a necessary evil for us.
I'm glad that you go, so I don't have to.
Precisely, Leo. I go for you.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
We just covered CES, and I didn't even have to go to Vegas.
Exactly.
I'm resting. What is it? Resting in place?
You're
dying
resting
in place.
Aging in place.
What am I doing?
Aging in place. Aging in place.
Aging in place.
We're all aging.
Soon I'll be dying in place. But that's the alternative. 8 days in Vegas or resting in place. I choose resting in place. But you're young. That's okay. It's good for you.
Thank you.
I'm old, and I was in Vegas.
Go listen to Florence and All About Android. Read her work all over the place. And, of course, she's all that flow. I love your Twitter handle, OHTHATFLO on the Twitter. We do This Week in Tech every Sunday. It's kind of our big show. We wrap up the week's tech news about 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC. Turn in early for the pre-show. It's always a lot of fun. You can watch it on twit.tv/live. Of course, everything we do is free. There's no charge. If you do watch us live, though, please join us in the chat room at irc.twit.tv. Great community there. You can even visit us in studio. We have a visitor all the way from Buckinghamshire in the UK. David, thank you for coming. Just email tickets at twit.tv so we know you're coming. We don't like surprises, but we do love having a studio audience. If you can't watch live, be here live, chat live. Don't worry. Everything we do is available for download on demand to meet your busy schedule. Listen to it in your self-driving car on your way home. Just go to twit.tv for any show, or open up your favorite podcast app because you can subscribe. Just search for Twit. All of our shows are available. And that way you get it as soon as it's out, and you won't miss an episode, audio or video. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.